the ministry. And among all the ministry that undertook the examination this year, my ministry attracted the highest number of participants of candidates. More than 1,000 people appear to undertake examination at Santom primary school as the examination center last week. So I could see that a lot of people are right now very much interested in working for trade sector, yeah, and also economic sector who apply for the Ministry of Economic and Finance. But there are more than 1,000 candidates apply for Ministry of Commerce examination this year. It's very astonishing and it's very stunning for my ministry. And the thing I feel very satisfied is that most of the examination question, most of the exam question are what we are doing right now. Okay, for example, how many members of ASEP? When did the Cambodia, China sign their bilateral FTA? Okay, what does it mean by the word graduation of LDC? Okay, what does it mean by the word tariff, non-tariff measure? Okay, and what does it mean by the word FTA itself? What is the Cambodia integration strategy launched in 2019-2023? Many more questions, right? That if you studied here and then you know the word or the lesson that I got you very seriously, trust me, it's very easy for you to undertake examination. Not only at my ministry, the Custom and Excise General Department of Custom and Excise, also recruit the new official this year, but they will only recruit the official who are already the official, all right? So if you are right now looking for any certain ministry and then you want to switch to work for the custom department, you can apply, okay? But if you are a student, if you are the candidate as the normal candidate who are not yet the officer, you cannot apply. But I found that examination provided by the General Department of Custom and Excise this year also include international trade law, okay? International trade law that very few people could understand. Only practitioner and very few practitioners in my ministry that studied international law that went critically into the areas of international trade law. Okay, even the people working for my ministry, some of them work in the other field, so they don't even know exactly or even a little bit about the international trade law. So I think it's very advantageous for you guys to study this course, and then also in your fourth year, okay? Not in your first year, because in your first year you might forget when you graduate, but here in your fourth year, and then when you graduate, you can actually take examination into my ministry or the other ministry that have international trade law subject, for example. So again, be reminded that you must take note very seriously of what I spoke, and also the information in the slide will be very important for you to be the reference before you consider taking examination into any ministry in the future. Not in the future, but next year or something, okay? So I wish you good luck. So let's go with me right now to slide number 5 regarding the BTO that we studied last week. Oh no, not last week, the week before last week. I try to speak much in order to avoid coughing because yes. Come on.
We're talking about the quiz. Do we have a quiz today?
No. We don't have quiz. I'm gonna inform you that one. I do not like surprise quiz. I had the most valuable student like you guys. I don't like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will inform you guys when we will have the quiz, what will the quiz cover, and what subject will be, undertaken, for example. So don't worry. Trust me, I will not put burdens or any trouble on the student who are right now already occupied by their work from the morning till the evening, okay? And then they can take some time to study here. Appreciate that. All right. So let me show the slide right now. I think last week we studied a lot. Not last week, but the week before last week, we studied a lot about the World Trade Organization. We undertook very critical evolutions of the Bretton Woods system back in 1944. that created two important organizations. First one is IMF, second one is World Bank, in order to provide the financial facilitation or coordination in many areas of the world, and also to provide the loan of funds for infrastructural development in the post-war country, post-war country, the country that were devastated by the World War I, World War II, And then they found that the World Bank and IMF were not enough, that they needed to have another important organization to take charge, the activities of international trade. That is why in 1946, they drafted what we call the Havana Charter that proposed to create the International Trade Organization, but it failed because the US did not provide the congressional support in 1947. So at the same time, they also created what we call a GATT, General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. And when ITO did not come into existence, they decided to provisionally apply GATT up until 1994, when it was updated with the creation of what we call World Trade Organization in 1995 under the Marrakesh Agreement. And I already explained to you the week before last week about the important principle of the WTO. For example, we got the very prominent rule, which is about the non-discrimination. So when you do trade, in order to make it fair, to make it equal by all the member of the WTO, they needs to respect or to have the very strict advocacy or adherence to the principle of non-discrimination. And there are two important underlying principles under the non-discrimination one. The first one is the most favored nation, and I already allow anybody, I think someone, Udom, right? Udom, did you read the article number one? Article one?
Yes,
Yeah, right. And I asked you guys whether you understood or not when you finish reading, and it's very complicated because it contains so much information that is very conflicting, that is very confusing, and also some technical lexicon or terminology cannot be, understood at your level. That is why we did this study in a critical manner. And the most explanation, as we read in Article 1, refers to the equal treatment, the fair treatment. I make it simple. The fair treatment between product, between light product. For example, if there are two light product, they must be imposed with the same level of tariff or non-tariff measure, except for quantitative restriction. So for any tariff measure, any UT, any other charges, financial charges that might be imposed on a certain product, they also must be imposed at the same level of the other product that have the lightliness, that have the lightliness. And the word light product here is still very much controversial as for now, and we haven't had any law that create the clear definitions of the word like, because it's very kind of technical. For example, we got two iPhone, but one iPhone is 7, simple 7, the other one is 7 Plus. So even they are the same brand, iPhone 7, but the other one we got extra technicality or extra accessory, that build it, that make it much better than 7 brand. So I think they are in the same 7 category, but 7 Plus and 7 can also cause the conflict of interpretation whether they are light product or not. Right? Even the perfume, the perfume imported from France to Cambodia might smell something unique in a French way. Let's say that it's very aromatic. Let's say that it's very, I don't know how to say how to describe the smells of the perfume, but let's say that it smells like a French, like a French people. Because when you went to, if you go to Paris, France, you will smell a lot of pass of perfume, because people in France like using perfume a lot, even in UK. But if you import the same brand, let's say Chanel, the other one that I just told a moment ago was imported from France, but the other one, the same Chanel brand, was imported from Germany. But it smells in a German way. Let's say that it does not have any fragrance smell, just like it's very soft, it's very soft, it's very soft. It's not really, I don't know how to say, but in a German way, let's say that. Okay. So the same brands of perfume, Chanel, the same quality, the same quantity, the same packaging, okay, but the tax or the import tariff might be different because they might say that France must be more luxurious, must be more luxurious and popular in Cambodia, so they needs to impose higher tariff on France perfume, while the same brand of the perfume from Germany will be imposed with the lower or little lower tariff compared to the one from France. So you can see light product, but they smell different way. The first one smell in a French way, but the other one smell in smell smell in German way. Okay, so who can interpret this? I no, I cannot. Even though I'm your lecturer, but I cannot have any description or any authority to interpret any legal term, okay, that is mentioned under WTO trade law, okay, because they are subject to the interpretation based on the provision of the law as well, and also based on the precedent or jurisprudence. I mean the decisions of the parts by the judge. Okay. So and then you study very well about the source of international law. If you go back to Article 2 of the ICJ statute 1945, you would see that the source of international law could be generated from from four important source. Yes, yeah, four important source. First one is the customary practice of civilized nation. Okay, scholarly writing. Okay, decision of the judge. Okay, and okay other okay a treaty or convention, okay, they are all sorts of international law. So in the WTO, customary practice can also be a reference for the judge on certain current case to refer to in case that the current case has similar nature with the old case. Okay, so the word likeness here, we don't have the definitions of the word like. Okay, what does it mean by this product, like this product? Are they really like? Okay, so the law does not clearly state the definition of the word like, but the decision of the judge in the past, okay, might be a very good reference for the current judge to issue the ruling or the report on the current case that has similar nature to the old cases. Okay, so that is the principle of precedent or jurisprudence. We're gonna study this in the next slide. Okay, yeah. So even though we have most of the nation, we still have two important exception. First one is RTA, I mean regional trade arrangement. It can also be called FTA, free trade area. Okay. Guy, did I already tell you that FTA, free trade area, and free trade agreement are different? Last week, did I tell you guys? When you see the word FTA, some people say that it is free trade agreement, but some say that no, it is not free trade agreement. I used to see some agreements say that it is free trade area. They are the same FTA, but some call it free trade agreement, some call it free trade area. Anybody know this? Whether they are different or not? Hmm? Anybody know? Anybody can make a simple guess? They are all abbreviated as FTA. That one is called free trade agreement. The other one is called free trade area. Did I tell you guys last week? Hmm?
No, sir.
No, all right. So let me tell you right now, I don't want to consume much time. When we talk about FTA as a free trade area, we refer to the grouping of countries that join the agreement in the same geographical location. For example, ASEAN. If you go back to see ASEAN FTA that was signed in 1991, it was called ASEAN Free Trade Area, okay, not ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. So keep in mind when we call FTA as the free trade area, it refers to the agreement that is signed by a group of countries of members that are in the same geographical setting, same geographical location. Let's say ASEAN. Let's say NAFTA. Anybody know NAFTA? North America Free Trade Area. Okay, it is between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Okay, they are in the same North America continent, okay, area or region, okay. While the free trade agreement, IFTA, as a free trade agreement, we refer to the agreement that is signed by the country or member or party from different location. For example, ASEP agreement, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, that was signed on November 15, 2020, overpassed, is membered by many countries. Okay, for example, by Japan, by South Korea in East Asia, okay, by the 10th member of ASEAN in South Asia, by two from Oceania, Australia and New Zealand, also by India in South Asia. Okay. So you can see here, there are many parties of the RCEP agreement that are from different geographical locations. So they are not called free trade area, they are called free trade agreement. You got a point? All right? Clear?
Yes, teacher. Yes.
All right. Easy, right? Yeah. So in the exception under the AMAPAN here, it means that if you have the uh, uh, okay, right now you have to treat everybody equally. You have to impose the same level of tariff on the light product from all the other members of the WTO when they import into your country. Let's say that. But you can give special treatment to a certain member. For example, I impose 5% on the product from this country, from all the members of the WTO into my country. But I decided to include China. For example, China, if China import the same product of what I just mentioned a moment ago to the rest of the world, the rest of the member of the WTO, if China export the same product to Cambodia, and then Cambodia has bilateral FTA with China, so Cambodia cannot impose the same level tariff of 5% to the product imported from China, because China has secure, I mean, Cambodia and China have secure what we call the RTA exemption provided by Article 24 of GATT, okay, which allow the member to provide special treatment to a certain or any member who have bilateral FTA with them or bilateral trade arrangement with them. So the Cambodia-China FTA will provide China a unique opportunity to give or to get special treatment when they export into Cambodia. The same for Cambodia. Cambodia can also get special treatment provided by Chinese authority when Cambodia export a product to China. But the other country who export the same product to China, they will face high level of tariff imposed on them because they do not have bilateral FTA with China. Okay, so FTA here is the exception that when you give special treatment to a certain member, not to all members of the WTO, you do not violate the most favored nation principle because it is the exception provided by Article 24 of GATT. Okay, you got a point? All right, clear? Come on, just confirm, right? Very easy. And we have
So,
one
so
lecture on that.
Any kind of agreement, right? Like bilateral
Yeah.
or multilateral.
Yeah. Whether they are multilateral, whether they are bilateral or plurilateral, we don't care. As long as they are RTA, it can be regional trade arrangement or ITA. RTA and ITA are the same, all right, under the WTO term, all right. So Cambodia, China, Cambodia, Korea, we can get special treatment for each other because we have this kind of RTA, okay, that is provided by the Article 24 as the exception not to violate rule on non-discrimination, okay. And that is the reason why many scholars said that WTO is right now not functional or very less popular. Why? Because a lot of members decided to go for IPA rather than leaving to the applications of most favored nation principle, AMAPN principle of WTO. Because when you apply AMAPN principle, you give some state do not negotiate with you, but the other state they negotiate with you to remove tariff. Then when it is applied at the WTO level, the other member that do not negotiate with you will also get this kind of treatment. So it's very unfair. So they decided to provide special treatment by providing the clause on RTA as an exception not to violate the most favored nation principle. Okay. The other exception that you can apply and then will not violate the most favored nation principle is the GSP. GSP is the provision provided by the enabling clause in 1971, okay, especially at the United Nations Development Trade Development UN CITAD, okay, they gather at the WTO to create the enabling clause in 1971, and enabling clause has become the exception for the member not to violate most favored nation. It means that when you apply a certain level of treatment to the light product from all members of the WTO, but you decided to give free concession, you decided to give free market access to 2 or 3 countries or members who are developing, who are least developed countries. Okay. For example, Cambodia. Cambodia right now secure a free, duty-free, quota-free market access to more than 30 countries, including Canada, Japan, Australia, and the European Union. Okay, let's say that. So, if Cambodia export to Canada, then Canada does not impose tariff on Cambodia, and then South Korea impose the same, export the same product to Canada as well, but Canada decided to decided to impose tariff on South Korean product, and then South Korean trade negotiator said that you violated the most favored nation principle because you did not impose duty or quota on Cambodian product, while I export the same product like Cambodia does, okay, to your country, but you impose a tariff. It's unfair. You violate most favored nation. And then Canada found that no, I do not violate because Cambodia is the developing country or least developed country that is provided with the special treatment under the enabling clause GSP 1971 here. So I live up to the exception of GSP under the enabling clause of the WTO. So I will not violate most favored nation principle. But if I treat you and the other developed or rich country differently, of course I violate most favored nation. But here I treat Cambodia the very disadvantaged or a marginalized, or because we can say it's simple, developing or least developed economy. I do not violate the most favored nation principle, okay, because it is the exception, okay, or the A and GSP. Are you with me? Are you clear now? All right. The rest, are you fine?
Yes, teacher.
Yeah. What about the rest? Are you fine?
Teacher, I have a question.
Yeah. Come on. Come on.
So in a case study like a custom union, can a member still do trade bilaterally with other countries?
Yeah. They can do trade bilaterally with the other country, but they have to pay tax. Okay, let's say that. But in custom union, it is also provided under Article 24, para 2, 3 or something. You can go to check it out. Free trade agreement, custom union, and interim agreement. Okay, 3 of them will not violate most favored nation principle. But in some custom union, for example, European Union, okay, and also in the what we call EAEU, Euro-Asia Economic Union, okay, they have the clause, they have the they have the article in the treaty of the economic union. For example, European Union, we have what we call the Maastricht Treaty or Lisbon Treaty, creating European Union economic union in 1973. They include a provision saying that a member of the economic union of the European Union cannot do trade arrangement, cannot conduct trade arrangement with third party without the consent from the other members of the European Union economic union right here. So they have the clause, okay? But in the Euro-Asia Economic Union that include Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, and Uzbekistan, that include 5 countries, they do not have any clause that prevent a certain member or a member of EAEU here not to have another bilateral FTA with the rest of the world, okay, or the other member, or the third party outside of the union, okay. So EU is a case that has the article that prevent member not to engage bilateral FTA with the rest of the world beside the member of European Union. Okay, that is why EU decided to leave European Union in March 2019 because it believes that if the UK still live up to the umbrella of the European Union, it could not have freedom to conduct bilateral trade So UK decided to conduct the exit through what we call Brexit referendum by Mr. Boris Johnson. Okay, so this is my answer to your question whether a custom union member have the right to conduct bilateral trade agreement with the rest of the world or the third party or not. It depends. Okay, for EAEU that consists of 5 countries. I just mentioned a moment ago, we have no clause that prevent a member not to have FTA with the third party. But for EU, European Union, we have the clause that prevent a member not to have bilateral FTA with the third party. Okay, so we have different cases. They are not the same. All right, are you clear now? And trust
So
me, yeah, come on, yes.
so for example, I'm not talking about the EU. So other custom union, if their condition they allow member state to conduct bilaterally, so it means that the trade conduct in 2 way, right? Yeah. The rule of WTO still apply while the rule of their custom union also apply.
Yeah, the rule of custom union, okay, will only apply among the member, okay, among the member, okay. But if the member agree not to have any clause to restrict the member or any single member to have bilateral trade agreement with the third party, that one certain member can conduct trade agreement with the other party under the WTO law, okay, or they can conduct trade, not trade agreement, just say can conduct simple trade under the WTO law using AMAP rate principle, okay. So that is that is clear. It depends on whether the custom union has the binding article that prevent a member not to conduct bilateral trade with the third party without the agreement from the member or not. Okay, so if they don't have any clause or article on that, you can do trade with the third party under AMAP principle. But for the custom union trade, internal trade in the custom union, you must respect the rule of the custom union here. Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
ហើយហ្នឹងហើយជាមូលហេតុដែលរុស្ស៊ីដូចខ្ញុំនិយាយប្រាប់យើងទៅពីដំបូងហើយក៏ខ្ញុំសប្បាយចិត្តដែលខ្ញុំបានធ្វើការល្អបំផុតកន្លែងហ្នឹងជួនថ្នាក់ដឹកនាំគឺខ្ញុំបានទៅអានទៅ search អង្គុយ search ប្រហែលយប់ដើម្បីរកមាត្រាដែលបង្ហាញថា EAEU Euro-Asia Economic Union ដែលមាន5ប្រទេសមានទាំងរុស្ស៊ីហ្នឹងអត់មាន clause ណាដែលបិទមិនអោយសមាជិកទៅចរចា FTA ជាមួយអ្នកក្រៅទេណាហើយរុស្ស៊ីគាត់និយាយជាមួយយើងគាត់ថា EAEU មាន clause ចែងហើយយើងសម្ដេចលោកចង់ឲ្យយើងចរចាមួយរុស្ស៊ីសម្ដេចហើយអាដាមគេណាតាំងពីអាដាមគិតឈុនគាត់ស្នើឲ្យយើងពិចារណាទាំងយូរហើយប៉ុន្តែរុស្ស៊ីក៏អត់ចាប់អារម្មណ៍ទេប៉ុន្តែទើបឥឡូវដល់ពេលយើងសំខាន់យើងមានសារៈសំខាន់យើងចរចាមួយចិនយើងចរចាយើងចង់ចរចាជាមួយរុស្ស៊ីគេនៅនិយាយថាអត់ទេហើយណាមួយគេបានចរចា EAEU វៀតណាម FTA ហើយអញ្ចឹងគេមិនចង់ចរចាមួយកម្ពុជាកូនប្រទេសតូចមួយទេហើយក៏គេយល់លេសថាដោយសារមាត្រា EAU Treaty របស់គេហ្នឹងគឺចែកមកអញ្ចឹងបាត់ហើយប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំទៅស្រាវជ្រាវរកឲ្យហើយខ្ញុំមានចាំខ្ញុំ search ឲ្យខ្ញុំ search ឲ្យពួកយើងចាំមើលប៉ុន្តែជាឯកសារផ្ទៃក្នុងទេហើយជាមួយខ្ញុំលៃយ៉ាងណាដើម្បីដក trademark ដកអីចេញមកជាប់ឈ្មោះខ្ញុំបើគ្នាយើងមើលថាមានមាត្រាប្រមាណដែលនិយាយថាភាគីនៃ EAEU Union នេះគឺអាចមានសិទ្ធិបង្កើត international law international agreement មិន international agreement ហើយពាក្យ international agreement វាមិនសំដៅទៅលើ trade ទេប៉ុន្តែវាអត់បិទរឿង trade ទេ international trade agreement is a part of international agreement international financial agreement is a part of international agreement ចឹងពាក្យ international agreement វាវែងជាទូលំទូលាយហើយរុស្ស៊ីប្រើប្រាស់មាត្រាហ្នឹងដើម្បីចរចាមួយកូរ៉េហើយចរចាដល់ round ទី7ទី8ហើយអត់មានពេលណាដឹងសោះបាទ តែយើងស៊ើបរកបានដឹងថាអូគេចរចាដល់ណាដល់ណីហើយយើងចេះជឿគេថាគេមិនអាចចរចាជាមួយយើងបានដោយសារថា law គេនោះបានចងថាបើចរចាត្រូវចរចាមួយសហគមន៍ហ្នឹងមិនចរចាមួយរុស្ស៊ីតែឯងទេតែដល់ពេលយើងឆែកឃើញគាត់ក៏អត់មានអីនិយាយហើយគាត់ថាបាទចាំខ្ញុំយកសំណើរបស់កម្ពុជាទៅប្រឹក្សាជាមួយរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីពាណិជ្ជកម្មប្រទេសគាត់កាលហ្នឹងចរចាមួយអគ្គរដ្ឋទូតទេហើយនឹងប្រាប់ទៅទីនេះដីផ្លាឌីមៀរពូទីនហ្នឹងដើម្បីពិចារណាយ៉ាងណាយ៉ាងណីទៀតតាមទូតពេលនេះគឺអត់មានអាប់ដេតទេគឺយើងកំពុងតែតាមដានបន្តអាហ្នឹងខ្ញុំគាត់ថាសូមជម្រាបឲ្យថាឲ្យយើងបានដឹងរឿងក្រៅឆាកមិនហើយសំណួរហ្នឹងល្អសំណួរហ្នឹងគឺវាជាក់ស្ដែងតែម្ដងហើយខ្ញុំបានធ្វើរួចអស់ហើយយើងចាំមើលតលទ្ធផលទេឥឡូវយើងបានចរចាជាមួយចិនហើយកូរ៉េរួចហើយកំពុងត្រៀមជាមួយជប៉ុនទៀតអញ្ចឹងបើសិនជា3ហ្នឹងមកហើយរុស្ស៊ីចង់ក៏ត្រូវទៅចរចាដែរអត់អាចកិច្ចទេបាទ យើងយុទ្ធសាស្ត្រ Okay អញ្ចឹងយើងកំនៅនឹងយូរពេក Okay and the other rule on non-discrimination is national treatment Okay national treatment ហ្នឹងអត់ខុសពី most poor nation ទេអត់ខុសពី MFN ទេខុសត្រង់ថា most poor nation ហ្នឹងគឺឲ្យ treat all member of the WTO equally ណាប៉ុន្តែ national treatment ហ្នឹងឲ្យប្រទេសដែលជាសមាជិករបស់ WTO នេះ treat equally between foreign national or between foreign trader and local trader ត្រូវតែ treat ស្មើគ្នាបើសិនជា local trader គាត់នាំចេញនាំចូលលក់លទ្ធផលក្នុងស្រុកមានអត់យកពន្ធអត់យក VAT អត់យក special tax អីទេស្រាប់តែដល់ពេលជនបរទេសមកដល់ធ្វើការរកស៊ីបើក investment នេះយើងយក UT special UT special what we call VAT value added tax ទៅលើជនបរទេសអត់ទេពីព្រោះជនបរទេសនេះគឺជាប្រជាជនរបស់ប្រទេសដែលជាសមាជិករបស់ WTO ដែលគាត់មានកាតព្វកិច្ចក្នុងការទទួលបាន national treatment fair treatment between national trader and foreign trader នៅក្នុងប្រទេសហ្នឹងណាអញ្ចឹងភាសាខ្មែរប្រែមកថាប្រព្រឹត្តកម្មជាតិ treatment តិចពួកយើងមិនដែលដឹងថាខ្មែរប្រែតែម៉េចឥឡូវខ្ញុំបញ្យល់បដាហើយប្រាប់ពាក្យខ្មែរបដាចឹងពាក្យថា treatment ប្រែមកថាប្រព្រឹត្តកម្មគេប្រព្រឹត្តកម្មប្រព្រឹត្តអំពើហ្នឹងប្រព្រឹត្តកម្មចឹង national treatment ហ្នឹងគឺការផ្ដល់ឲ្យប្រព្រឹត្តកម្មស្មើគ្នារវាងអ្នករកស៊ីក្នុងស្រុកនិងអ្នករកស៊ីជនបរទេសដែលនៅក្នុងស្រុកទៀតអញ្ចឹងអត់ឲ្យរើសអើងទាំងរវាងសមាជិក WTO ទាំងអស់ហើយក៏មិនឲ្យរើសអើងរវាងអ្នករកស៊ីនៅក្នុងស្រុកឯងនិងអ្នករកស៊ីជនបរទេសដែលមករកស៊ីក្នុងស្រុកឯងជាជនជាតិឯងផងជនជាតិគេត្រូវតែ treat ស្មើគ្នាបើយើងជាសមាជិករបស់ WTO ចប់ rule on non-discrimination let us move on to the rule on market access rule on market access refers to the studies of what we call custom duty that we normally call it as the tariff okay and the other one is UT we refer to tax okay UT is not the custom duty right custom duty refer to the tax or the tariff that is imposed at the border on the import and export product but for the tax or UT not custom we call it UT or tax we refer to the tax that is imposed internally okay internally and also other financial yeah come on
I didn't see you share screen
oh you don't see the screen អញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំបរៀនមួយថ្ងៃហ្នឹងអត់ទាន់មើល screen ទេញ៉ា Oh my god
បងchờ teacher
អើយ clear យើងនេះដល់ហើយចេះតែមើលខ្ញុំនេះដែរអត់យល់ alright ឃើញទេឃើញទេ អូខេអញ្ចឹងមើលពាក្យនោះហើយមើលឲ្យខ្ញុំបញ្យល់មិញណាហើយអត់មានប្រាប់ខ្ញុំមិនស្មានតែខ្ញុំបញ្យល់អត់ស្លាយមែន Alright okay អញ្ចឹង rule ទី1 non discrimination ខ្ញុំបញ្យល់អស់ហើយវាមាន2ហើយក្នុងទី1នេះវាមាន exception ចំនួន2ខ្ញុំបញ្យល់ឡើងអស់ហើយអស់លេងហើយអត់មានអីតែនេះទេ rule ទី2នេះគឺ rule on market access ពាក្យថា market access គឺច្រកទីផ្សារគឺវាមាន4ដែលយើងត្រូវសិក្សាទី1ហ្នឹងគឺ custom duty គេហៅថាពន្ធគយមិនពន្ធទេណាពន្ធគយ custom duty ហ្នឹងគឺពន្ធគយពន្ធដែលគេយកនៅលើទំនិញដែលនាំចូលនៅក្នុងនៅតាមព្រំដែនអញ្ចឹងអានេះគេហៅថា custom duty ឬក៏ tariff តែពេល UT refers to the internal tax that is imposed on the product that is used that is consumed internally and also other financial charge okay financial charge it can be documentation charge it can be licensing charge it can be some other statistic charge for example if you want to get some statistic from my authority for your calculation of what cost what benefit of import and export you can get from my authority but you will need to pay okay so the government has the right to do so it is not prohibited under the WTO law okay the other one is what we call quantitative restriction quantitative restriction is again not allowed under the WTO law okay again custom duty is allowed you can impose UT at a certain level but if you want to remove it's okay you can remove if you want to have the removal of tariff you can just sign FTA free trade agreement with one party and then you can remove tariff it's your right not your obligation it's your right you can do so it will be the WTO always encourage member to remove barrier okay but it does not prohibit member not to keep the barrier at place okay the tariff barrier at place UT can also be imposed. It's the freedom of state to impose UT, the freedom of state to impose financial charge, okay, on the foreign good. But let us see here, quantitative restriction is not allowed, especially ban and quota. ការហាមឃាត់និងការដាក់កូតាគឺនៅក្នុង debate law គេអត់ឲ្យប្រើប្រាស់ទេខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់អត់ឲ្យប្រើប្រាស់ទេលើកលែងតែមានករណីលើកលែងលើកលែងតែមានករណីលើកលែងហើយករណីលើកលែងហ្នឹងមានតែខ្ញុំបញ្យល់មានទាំងពីបញ្ហាសុខភាពមានទាំងពីបញ្ហាcritical shortage នៅពេលដែលខ្វះហើយនៅក្នុងស្រុកអញ្ចឹងយើងអាចបិទការនាំចេញបិទការនាំចូលឲ្យបានគេហើយនឹងទី4នេះគឺ non tariff barrier non tariff barrier យើងស្គាល់វាមាន SPS វាមាន licensing វាមាន shipping វាមាន procurement ទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងគឺសុទ្ធតែជា non tariff barrier វាជា barrier ប៉ុន្តែវាមិនមែនជា barrier បែបពន្ធណាចាំ non tariff barrier ជា barrier ដែរប៉ុន្តែវាមិនមែនជា barrier ជាលក្ខណៈពន្ធទេអញ្ចឹងទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងគឺជា rule on market access ហើយខ្ញុំនឹងបញ្យល់មួយទៅទៀតក្នុង slide ទៅទៀតកុំភ័យអសោះ number 3 the third rule under the WTO law is the rule on unfair trades okay so the first one is anti-dumping I think you know quite well about the word anti-dumping here it refers to the practice of unfair pricing okay for example you export your product to the foreign country at a price that is far lower than the price that you sell in your country okay so it looked very crazy when you decided to export at a price cheaper than your local price. But state sometimes decided to do so in order to top par down a company in the foreign country that we use the same kind of product. Let's say that if you want to top par down the car producing company in Thailand, you decided to be use the car, the same brand, okay, same type, same quality in Cambodia, and then export to Thailand at a very low price. At a very low price. So the export price of car, okay, is higher than the price of the car that you sell for your own people. It looked very crazy to do so, but the government intends to top her down or to push the company that produce car in Thailand out of the market. Because when they produce car and then they sell the car there at a price higher than the car that are imported from Cambodia at a low price, people in Thailand will prefer to consume Cambodian car. Okay? And then in 4 or 5 years, the car producing company in Thailand will be out of the market because they cannot sell the car. Okay? Thai people right now prefer using Cambodian car at a low price. The same quality, the same brand, the same standard, let's say that. Okay? So the government of Cambodia might take a risk for a few years. It might it decided to sell to the foreign people at low price but sell for its own people at high price. But in the year after 5 years, when the company in Thailand that produce car no longer exists, Cambodian government can sell the car, the price of sell car using Cambodia to Thailand at a high price. And Thai people cannot resist the higher price of the car there because we have no more company that produce car in Thailand. The car consumer in Thailand depend largely or depend completely on the import from Cambodia. So we risk losing some benefit in first, second, third year, but in 4th or 5th year, when the other company fall down or collapse or out of the market, we can determine the price as high as we can. Okay, we call it what we call monopoly. Okay, monopoly, and it is not allowed under the WTO law. Okay, it is called dumping, where the price of export is higher than the normal value you sell at home. So it is not allowed under the WTO law. Again, it is not allowed. Okay. In Khmer, anti-dumping means ប្រឆាំងការលក់បង្ខូចថ្លៃគេប្រឆាំងការលក់បង្ខូចថ្លៃគេអញ្ចឹងអាហ្នឹងអត់ឲ្យប្រើប្រាស់ទេនៅក្នុង WTO law ហាមអត់ឲ្យប្រើប្រាស់ទេ Second, subsidy. Subsidy is also not allowed under the WTO law. Why? Because it is unfair. Why it is unfair? Because subsidy refers to the financial contribution by the government to a certain company in your country in order to compete with the rest of the company in the country, not to not to be able to stand for long. Okay, let's say that you there are 10 companies in Cambodia that produce car. Let's say that, but but the government found that one company seems to be very in favor of the government policy. For example, the company always support the government in the national election campaign, always support the government policy in international political diplomacy or international state, always fund the government, provide government some, behind the scenes support, let's say that. So the government decided to favor that company by providing financial support to that company. Okay, come to me right now, only you, but the other 9 companies stay there. But one company come to me, I will provide you financial support, financial contribution. For example, no need to pay tax to my government. Okay, or you can also borrow the money from my government federal bank. Or if you don't have, if you cannot borrow from me, you can go to borrow the bank, the private bank, and I can provide you the what we call financial insurance. Okay, financial insurance. Okay, for the bank to issue the fund for your company. While the other 9 company, when they want to get to borrow money from the bank do not allow them. Okay, because right now the bank get the guarantee from the government to provide the fund to only one company. Okay, for the certain productions. Okay, so here the unfair treatment by the government on the company in that country because of some favor, some advantage is not allowed. Is not allowed. Okay, that is called subsidy, or in Khmer we call ឧបត្ថម្ភធន ឧបត្ថម្ភធននោះតែជា financial contribution ទេតែជាលុយអីទេលុយនោះវាអាចមានជាទម្រង់ពន្ធជាការទិញលក់ក្នុងតម្លៃថោកអីណាឲ្យតែមានជា commercial interest គេហៅថាជា financial contribution ហើយប៉ុន្តែបើសិនជារដ្ឋាភិបាល support ជា guidance support ជា training program ដែលមិនជាលុយអានោះអត់មានបញ្ហាទេអញ្ចឹងយើងឃើញអត់មិនបានប្រជាពលរដ្ឋចេះត្អូញថាមិនបានរដ្ឋាភិបាលគ្មានពីណាគេមកផ្ដល់លុយឲ្យប្រជាពលរដ្ឋកសិករអីណាអត់មានមកផ្ដល់ជីដល់អី free ដល់កសិករអីសោះតែរដ្ឋាភិបាលមិនមែនមិនចង់ធ្វើទេវាណាមិនចង់លើកកសិករឡើងប៉ុន្តែបើធ្វើគេប្តឹងតែម្ដងបាទធ្វើគេប្តឹងពីព្រោះវាជា subsidy សូម្បីតែយើងដាក់ special economic zone ឲ្យខ្ញុំធ្លាប់បញ្យល់យើងប្រហែលហ្នឹង special economic zone ច្បាប់យើងមានចែងទៀតប៉ុន្តែមានគេរកប្តឹងមានគេរកប្តឹងយើងអាមេរិករកប្តឹងយើងរឿង subsidy ហ្នឹងគាត់ថាយើងហ្នឹងឲ្យផលប្រយោជន៍សំខាន់ទៅលើក្រុមហ៊ុននៅក្នុង ICZ ដែលក្រុមហ៊ុនក្រៅពី ICZ អត់មានផ្ដល់ជាអត្ថប្រយោជន៍អញ្ចឹងគាត់ថាយើងអត់យកពន្ធទេនៅក្នុង ICZ គឺ take holiday អត់មាន take holiday ហ្នឹងប្រែថាអត់យកពន្ធអញ្ចឹងនៅក្នុងហ្នឹងគឺអត់យកពន្ធ9ឆ្នាំនៅក្នុង ICZ តែបើនៅក្រៅគឺត្រូវយកពន្ធធម្មតាអញ្ចឹងវាជា financial contribution ដែលរដ្ឋាភិបាលផ្ដល់ឲ្យក្រុមហ៊ុនអញ្ចឹងបានន័យថាបើសិនជាយើងបើសិនជាអាមេរិកប្តឹងយើងមែនគឺយើងអាចមានបញ្ហាប្រទេសយើងមានបញ្ហាប៉ុន្តែគាត់ថានៅក្នុង commitment របស់យើងឆ្លាតយើងថាយើង reserve the right to provide special treatment to some company that register in our special economic zone យើងមានច្បាប់យើងចែងក្នុង commitment schedule របស់យើងនៅក្នុង WTO ហ្នឹងគឺយើងមានចែងអញ្ចឹងវារួចត្រង់ហ្នឹងប៉ុន្តែបើយើងអត់ចែងទេអត់មានចែង reservation clause ទេគេឃើញយើងផ្ដល់ special treatment ឲ្យក្រុមហ៊ុនដែលនៅក្នុង ICZ អាអ្នកក្រៅមិនឲ្យគេអាចប្តឹងយើងបានថាយើង commit subsidy to provide financial contribution by the public authority to the private company not all but to only specific or limited number of private company អញ្ចឹងអាហ្នឹងគឺ anti dumping ហើយនិង subsidy គឺមិនអនុញ្ញាតឲ្យប្រើប្រាស់នៅក្នុង WTO law ទេហើយយកយើង anti dumping ហ្នឹងគឺមាន law ហើយប៉ុន្តែអនុវត្តមិនទាន់បានដល់ច្រើនដល់ឡើយទេហើយកាលយើងដឹងពីមុនពីណាក៏ប្រើ Star Cell 098ពេលខ្ញុំនៅរៀនថ្នាក់ទី11ទី10អីហ្នឹងខ្ញុំប្រើ Star Cell អីហ្នឹងសេរីក្មេងៗតែញ៉ែទៅអីហ្នឹងគូនិយាយទៅប៉ែច្រើនហ្នឹងអត់ប្រយោជន៍សោះដល់ពេលហើយ Star Cell B-line អីហ្នឹងក៏អស់ពីក្នុងទីផ្សារដោយសារតែ Cell Card ហើយនិង Smart គាត់លេងអា dumping គាត់ទម្លាក់តម្លៃគាត់ដែរមុនអ្នក call Cell Card គឺសុទ្ធតែអ្នកថ្លៃធ្នូអញ្ចឹងទៅ call Cell Card ខលអស់លុយអញ្ចឹងហើយអ្នកនិយាយ Cell Card សុទ្ធតែអ្នកនិយាយតែមានការមានប្រយោជន៍បាននិយាយដល់ពេលក្រុមហ៊ុនផ្សេងអត់ប្រយោជន៍អញ្ចឹងណាតែដល់ពេល Cell Card នៅតែធ្វើអញ្ចឹងវាអាចទៅរួចក៏ទម្លាក់តម្លៃដែរទម្លាក់តម្លៃដល់សឹងតែ call ហើយគេនេះទៀត Cell Card ឲ្យលុយថែទៀតមានអ្នកខ្លះទទួល call គេមកគឺអ្នកឯងបានលុយចូលក្នុងនេះទៀតអាហ្នឹងកាលប្រហែលឆ្នាំកន្លងមកនេះអញ្ចឹងធ្វើដល់មែនតើណាដាំភីងដាំតម្លៃធ្លាក់ដល់មែនតើមិនដែរសុខចិត្តខាតប្រហែលឆ្នាំមិនតែឲ្យក្រុមហ៊ុនសេវាដល់សេវាទូរស័ព្ទទាំងអស់ផ្សេងទៀតដួលរលំហើយចុងបញ្ចប់នៅសល់តែ3គត់ Smart Cell Card ហើយនិង Smartphone ហ្នឹងហើយគាត់នៅតែបច្ចេកនេះរងថ្ងៃគេយើងមើល promotion package ក៏គឺ$1ដូរបាន$333ពេលហួសហេតុហើយរងថ្ងៃយើងអនុវត្តច្បាប់នៅយើងអត់ទាន់ឡើយទេហ្នឹងជាបញ្ហា Yeah វាចំណេញដល់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋយើងប៉ុន្តែវាធ្វើឲ្យនៅពេលដែលថ្ងៃណាមួយគាត់ចង់តម្លើងតម្លៃធ្វើអត់ចេញទេឥឡូវ Share Card ចង់បង្កើតកម្មវិធីកាត់ត្រាក់កាត់អីពីទូរស័ព្ទយើងដោយអូតូម៉ាទិកក៏យើងទៅតវ៉ាមិនបានពីព្រោះយើងអត់ប្រើ Share Card ទៅប្រើណាដែលល្អជាង Share Card ប្រើ Smart អត់សូវទេប្រើ Smartphone មិនសូវពេញនិយមទេណាអញ្ចឹងវាអត់មានប្រព័ន្ធផ្សេងទៀតដោយសារតែប្រព័ន្ធមួយចំនួនទៀតគឺត្រូវបានក្រុមហ៊ុនដែលដាំភិញនេះបញ្ចេញពីទីផ្សារហើយអញ្ចឹងសកម្មភាពហ្នឹងគឺគេអត់អនុញ្ញាតឲ្យប្រើប្រាស់នៅក្នុង WTO law ទេសូមបញ្ជាក់អញ្ចឹងទាំងអស់នេះគឺជា basic rule ដែលយើងនឹងរៀនខ្ញុំបញ្យល់នេះខ្ញុំបញ្យល់អស់ហើយប៉ុន្តែវានៅច្រើនទៀតនៅក្នុងមួយហ្នឹងនៅក្នុង anti dumping យើងមានមួយថ្ងៃពេញតែម្ដងនៅត្រូវសិក្សាហើយខ្ញុំនឹងបញ្យល់មានរឿងច្រើនអញ្ចឹងប៉ុន្តែគ្រាន់តែទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងវានៅក្នុងមកខ្ញុំនេះគឺជា basic rule របស់ WTO law and the other rule is the rule on institution and procedure institution and procedure គឺ rule តាក់ទងទៅនឹងពីណាគេអ្នកបង្កើតdecision ពីណាគេអ្នកបង្កើត report ពីណាគេអ្នកចំណាយអីហ្នឹងគឺគេមាន rule របស់គេតាក់ទងទៅនឹង secretariat ministerial conference គេទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងគឺសុទ្ធតែហើយទាំង dispute settlement body គឺសុទ្ធតែជា rule on procedure ទេជានីតិវិធីទេអញ្ចឹងវាមិនសូវជាចាំបាច់ទេប៉ុន្តែត្រូវតែដឹងដើម្បីដឹងថានៅ WTO ពីណាគេធ្វើការអីពីណាគេធ្វើការអីណា Okay let's go with me to the next slide
I have one question.
Come on
On rules on unfair trade, the subsidy. So if the government can provide subsidy to other and not so that violate the rules. So if the government provides subsidy to everyone, does the rule still violate?
No, if to everyone, not violate. All right, if to everyone is not violate. If the government provide equal treatment to everyone, okay, let's say the financial contribution, but not to a certain company, but to all company, fine. And the government and the WTO will also be happy. Okay, my company in Cambodia are also right now getting financial contribution. Thai company in Cambodia also get financial contribution from the government. Okay, they will be very happy, right? But the government cannot do so. You cannot provide financial support to all company in Cambodia. Foreign or national, you cannot provide. You can only provide the financial contribution to the company that you think belongs to the Cambodian people and benefit Cambodian industry. So you decided to provide a site, but provision of financial contribution by the government to the certain company that I just mentioned is the violation of subsidy rule under WTO law. Yeah, you can provide to all if you can, all right, but it's very impossible to provide financial contribution to all company, whether local or international in Cambodia. Impossible. And trust me, Thai government will be happy if Thai company in Cambodia get financial support from Cambodian government the same way that the Cambodian company get from the Cambodian government. Okay, so I think it's very impossible to provide all. Okay, are you clear?
Teacher, let me go to this rabbit hole. So if, for example, Cambodia provides subsidy to everyone, does it mean that if the country that do trade with us had to provide subsidy to every company of Cambodia too? Like
No,
equal treatment, right?
No. We can't do so. Okay, we cannot. They have the right. The foreign country have no obligation to provide subsidy or financial support to the company of Cambodia in their country. They have no obligation to do so. Okay, but if you can do so, they will be happy. They will not file complaint against you. Okay, but if you don't do so, you only provide to some certain company, they file complaint to you. So you will not do so. They will not do so. So because subsidy is not allowed, it doesn't mean that I will provide the financial contribution to all company in Cambodia, whether they are from the country, whether they are in Cambodia, they are Cambodian people, they are Cambodian company. I provide to all, and then you must provide the same financial contribution to the Cambodian company in your country as well. All company there. No, it is not that way. Subsidy is not allowed. That is not about treatment. Okay, it's not about treatment. It's the rights of the government to provide or not provide. But if you provide, you violate. Okay, if you provide to certain company, you violate. But if you don't, fine. The other also don't. They don't care. Okay. So it is the right, not obligation. Right? It is the rights of not obligation. Okay.
Yeah, teacher.
Yeah.
Sure. how about we give subsidiary to
subsidy
garment
subsidy I don't know.
garment factory sir like
Yeah, but thu garment factory á, mình thu mình pía từ căn garment factory thấu chi garment factoryទាំងអស់ okay ខ្ញុំភ្លេចបញ្ជាក់ឡើងហ្នឹងដែរអ្នកដែលអាចប្តឹងតើតា light industry light production យល់ពាក្យ light production ហ្នឹងដូចខ្ញុំនិយាយ light product ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងក្រុមហ៊ុនដូចខ្ញុំយល់មិញករណីបដិឡានក៏ក្រុមហ៊ុនបដិឡាន9ទៀតជាក្រុមហ៊ុនបដិឡានដែរទើបអាចប្តឹងគាត់ថាលេខរដ្ឋាភិបាលឲ្យ financial contribution ទៅក្រុមហ៊ុនបដិឡានដល់ពេលក្រុមហ៊ុនផលិតជ្រូកចិញ្ចឹមជ្រូកចិញ្ចឹមត្រីមកប្តឹងក្រុមរដ្ឋាភិបាលរឿងផ្ដល់ financial contribution ទៅឲ្យក្រុមហ៊ុនផលិតឡានមិនត្រូវរឿងផ្សេងនេះតែមិនមែនជា light production ណា light LIKE ណាអញ្ចឹងក្នុងរឿងទាំងអស់ fair គឺ light ដូចពួកយើងអញ្ចឹងណាពួកយើងជាកូនសិស្សខ្ញុំអញ្ចឹងពួកយើង light នេះរបស់ពួកយើងគឺកូនសិស្សខ្ញុំអញ្ចឹងបើខ្ញុំឲ្យបន្ទូលនេះខ្ពស់ជាងនោះទាំងអ្នកហ្នឹង MCQ គាត់ធ្វើពេញ7លើ10គាត់ធ្វើបានគាត់បាន7ដល់ពី10ផ្សេងធ្វើត្រូវបាន7ខ្ញុំឲ្យ10 light នេះរបស់យើងគឺ student គេស្រួលទេ light នេះរបស់យើងគឺ student អញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំត្រូវឲ្យ equal treatment អញ្ចឹងស្រាប់តែអ្នកផ្សេងដែលមិនមែនជានៅសិស្សក្នុងថ្នាក់ខ្ញុំផងហើយគាត់គាត់នៅថ្នាក់ផ្សេងហើយគាត់ស្រាប់តែឃើញខ្ញុំឲ្យសិស្សនេះបន្ទុកខុសគឺខ្ញុំឲ្យគាត់ធ្វើបាន7ខ្ញុំឲ្យគាត់9ទៅ10ស្រាប់តែគាត់មកប្តឹងខ្ញុំថាអត់ treatment អត់ equal អ្វីបើសិស្សថ្នាក់ផ្សេងគ្នាហ្នឹងឬពីរផ្សេងគ្នាតែអានេះខ្ញុំនិយាយតែបើសិស្សក្នុងនេះអាចប្តឹងខ្ញុំបានបើសិនជាខ្ញុំឲ្យតែម្នាក់អត់ឲ្យ20នាក់ទៀតគឺប្តឹងខ្ញុំបានអាហ្នឹង unfair treatment ហ្នឹង subsidy score subsidy និយាយហ្នឹងវិញអូខេអញ្ចឹងតោះតែ light industry អូខេអញ្ចឹងម្ដងទៀត light industry ដូចគ្នា light industry អូខេសួរល្អខ្ញុំសប្បាយចិត្តនឹងមានសំណួរអត់បញ្ហាកាន់តែសួរកាន់ទៅវែងឆ្ងាយប៉ុន្តែយើង move on តិចទៅដើម្បីទៅបានលឿនមកមិនអញ្ចឹងនៅ stuck នឹងអូខេ alright are you fine can I move on right now
teacher I have a question
okay come on
you're talking about rules of WTO what if a country violates the
okay when a country violate rule we have dispute settlement body I'm gonna explain in the next slide okay don't worry but we don't have international prison គេយើងមានគុកអន្តរជាតិយើងមានបរិយាអន្តរជាតិទេប៉ុន្តែយើងមាន charge យើងមានអីដើម្បីហើយអត់មានដាក់គុកទេគឺបើយើង violate ណាមួយគឺ a concession ដែលគេឲ្យយើងគេ remove ចោលតិចហើយគេដាក់ពន្ធលើយើងគុណ2គុណ3អាហ្នឹង punishment របស់ WTO វាមានប្រសិទ្ធភាពជាង ICJ ត្រង់ហ្នឹង ICJ គឺនិយាយរឿងអធិបតេយ្យភាពអ្នកឯងអាចដាក់ទណ្ឌកម្មប៉ុន្តែទណ្ឌកម្មមិនបើអធិបតេយ្យរដ្ឋគេមានអធិបតេយ្យភាពឯងដាក់ទណ្ឌកម្មមិនទៅចាប់រដ្ឋាភិបាលគេដាក់គុកមិនទោះបីជា ICC International Criminal Court of Justice ក៏អត់អាចចាប់មេដឹកនាំទៅដាក់គុកបានដែរដាក់គុកបានដាក់គុកក្នុងស្រុកខ្មែរទៀតមានយកទៅដាក់គុកនៅណាអត់មាន international prison ទេណាប៉ុន្តែ international trade law វាខុសពីគេត្រង់ថាអត់មានរឿងគុកទេគឺដាក់ទណ្ឌកម្មបែបពាណិជ្ជកម្មណារំលោភគេថាឥឡូវរំលោភតែឲ្យយកពន្ធអត់មាន most of the nation គេឲ្យយើង apply ស្មើនេះស្រាប់តែយើងយកពន្ធពីប្រទេសនោះ 20% តែយើងខំប្រទេសនឹងខំថៃឥឡូវយកពន្ធពីថៃ 20% អញ្ចឹងថៃប្តឹងទៅ WTO ដល់ពេលថៃឈ្នះថៃដាក់ពន្ធពីយើង 40% 20% វិញឲ្យស្មើគ្នាមកអានោះគឺ WTO គេអនុញ្ញាតហើយយើងប្តឹងថៃមានបានទេពីព្រោះទទួលបាន ruling ពី dispute settlement body របស់ WTO ដើម្បីឲ្យ remove concession ពីកម្ពុជាបាត់ហើយ remove concession មិនថាអ្វីដែលថៃធ្លាប់ផ្ដល់សម្បទានពីមុនគឺ remove ចោលអស់ដាក់ពន្ធលើកម្ពុជា 20% វិញ got a point right okay very good កុំខុសយើងមានទាំងអស់ខ្ញុំ prepare រក message ឲ្យពួកយើងចាំមើលទាំងគ្នា okay let's move on to the other slide okay thank you so much okay អញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំសូម move កន្លែងនេះទៅទៀតហើយដោយសារតែខ្ញុំឲ្យគ្នាយើងឧត្តមអានទឹកមុនហើយគឺarticle 1 most of nation ហ្នឹងគឺ most of nation MFN ហ្នឹងគឺយើងយល់ហើយពាក្យដែលសំខាន់គឺពាក្យ lie នៃខ្ញុំនិយាយហ្នឹងពាក្យ lie នេះសំខាន់ណាស់ហើយបន្ទាប់មកអាហ្នឹងគឺគោលការណ៍ដំបូងប៉ុន្តែវាមាន exception ចំនួន2ដែលខ្ញុំនិយាយ exception ទី1ហ្នឹងគឺ RTA RTA ខ្ញុំយកដាក់ក្រោយវិញ regional trade arrangement វា524យើងបង្កើត FTA ទៅយើងមិនបាច់ចាំ apply MFN ហើយពីព្រោះយើងឲ្យទៅ special treatment to certain member of who are the party to the agreement that we join គេហើយនឹងទី2ហ្នឹងគឺ GSP generalized system of preference ដែលយើងទទួលបានពីកាណាដាពី US ពីអូស្ត្រាលីពីជប៉ុនហ្នឹងជាង30ប្រទេសហ្នឹងណានៅក្នុង Enabling Clause ឆ្នាំ1971អញ្ចឹងតែពីរហ្នឹងគឺជា exception ដែលយើងអត់ violate MFN ទេនៅពេលដែលយើងឲ្យ special treatment ទៅភាគីណាមួយ Article 3 តើតើទៅនឹង national treatment ក៏ខ្ញុំបានបញ្យល់ដែរតើតើទៅនឹងការ treat រវាង foreign company ហើយនិង local company នៅក្នុងប្រទេសខ្លួនឯងនេះតើតើទៅនឹង law regulation requirement មួយចំនួនមិនមែនក្រុមហ៊ុនបរទេសនៅស្រុកខ្មែរត្រូវតែបង់ពន្ធ 20% អាក្រុមហ៊ុនខ្មែរផលិតផលដូចគ្នាអត់បង់ពន្ធ no okay no it must be okay ហើយជំនួសពាក្យ live product ដូចគ្នា live product ទេអញ្ចឹង company ទាំងខ្មែរបរទេសបើសិនជាចង់ដឹងថាអ្នកឯងត្រូវបានគេ treat ស្មើគ្នាអត់ត្រូវមើលសិនតើអ្នកឯងផលិតផលដូចគ្នាអត់ណាតើត live product ទើបគេឲ្យមានការផ្ទៀងផ្ទាត់តើវា equal ក៏មិន equal អានេះគឺជា rule on MFN ហើយនិង NT non discrimination គេអញ្ចឹងយើងមើលទៅទៀតខ្ញុំបញ្យល់មកឲ្យហើយ custom duty គឺពន្ធគយ UT ហើយនិង other charge គឺមិនអនុញ្ញាតមិនហាមឃាត់នៅក្នុង WTO law ទេរដ្ឋាភិបាលមានសិទ្ធិក្នុងការដាក់ពន្ធណាប៉ុន្តែបើសិនជាដាក់ពន្ធលើសពី bound rate ដែលយើងបានកំណត់នៅក្នុង MFN concession របស់យើងនៅ WTO យើងនៅក្នុង concession schedule របស់យើងដាក់ផ្លែចេក MFN rate របស់យើងគឺ2%អញ្ចឹងចេកមកពីប្រទេសណាក៏ដោយតែបើនាំចូលកម្ពុជាត្រូវយក2%ប៉ុន្តែស្រាប់តែយើងដាក់ 5% អញ្ចឹងអត់បានទេទោះបីជាគេអនុញ្ញាតឲ្យយើងមានសេរីភាពក្នុងការដាក់ពន្ធប៉ុន្តែបើពន្ធយើងបានកំណត់ថា 2% ហើយទៅជា bound rate គឺពន្ធដែលជាប់ដែល selling ពន្ធដែលនៅខាងលើ bound ហើយអត់អាចដាក់លើហ្នឹងទេយើងមានសេរីភាពក្នុងការដាក់ឥឡូវបើយើងកំណត់ពន្ធ 2% នៅ WTO ចឹងអាចដាក់ 1% 1.9 ឬក៏2ពី2ចុះក្រោមគឺបានគេអត់តែយើងដាក់តិចទេប៉ុន្តែហាមដាក់លើស bound rate ហាមដាក់លើស bound duty bound tariff អាហ្នឹងខ្ញុំនឹងបរៀននៅ session ក្រោយវាមាន tariff major សប្តាហ៍ក្រោយយើងរៀនពី tariff major ខ្ញុំនឹងបញ្យល់ថាអ្វីទៅ compound tariff mixed tariff specific tariff technical tariff វាមានច្រើនតែចាំខ្ញុំបញ្យល់អញ្ចឹងអត់មានការហាមឃាត់ទេប៉ុន្តែ quantitative restriction ដូចជា ban ហើយនិង quota គឺគេហាមឃាត់ជាពិសេសនៅក្នុងមាត្រា11នៃគេបើថាអ្នកឯងមានសិទ្ធិដាក់ពន្ធដាក់អីមិនប៉ុន្តែអ្នកឯងអត់មានសិទ្ធិក្នុងការរឹតបន្តឹងឬក៏ហាមឃាត់បិទការនាំចូលការនាំចេញទេជាពិសេសគឺការបិទហើយនិងការដាក់កូតាគេថាខ្ញុំអត់ដាក់ពន្ធអ្នកឯងទេប៉ុន្តែអ្នកឯងទៅនាំចូលមួយថ្ងៃនាំចូលតែអង្គ2តោនបានហើយទេឬក៏កុំនិយាយមួយថ្ងៃនិយាយថាអ្នកឯងខ្ញុំឲ្យនាំចូលមកក្នុងប្រទេសខ្ញុំតែអង្គ200តោនទេអញ្ចឹងចប់200តោនអ្នកឯងគ្មានសិទ្ធិនាំចូលមកទេ No we cannot do so we have to liberalize we have to open our market we cannot set quota we cannot set ban quota ហ្នឹងគឺ quota គឺចំនួនតម្រូវអញ្ចឹងគេអត់អនុញ្ញាតទេនៅក្នុងមាត្រា11នៃ GATT ហើយមាត្រាហ្នឹងគឺជាមាត្រាសារណារបស់ខ្ញុំតែម្ដងបាទអញ្ចឹងអត់អនុញ្ញាតទេខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់ឥឡូវគេអនុញ្ញាតដាក់ពន្ធមកស្រឡាញ់តែកុំឲ្យតែខ្ពស់ជាង boundary ដែលយើងកំណត់ដែលយើង commit តែក្រុមនេះបាននៅ quota នៅក្នុងជា QR quantitative restriction អត់អនុញ្ញាតទេគេ non-tariff measure including transparency SPS rule margin domestic regulation custom valuation inspection licensing not prohibited អត់មានត្រូវបានហាមឃាត់ទេគេមានសិទ្ធិដាក់ហើយភាគច្រើនគឺអ្នកមានគេប្រើនឹងប្រទេសអ្នកមានប្រើនឹងប្រទេសអ្នកក្រភាគច្រើនគឺយើងយកពន្ធខ្ពស់ពីព្រោះប្រទេសក្រីក្រត្រូវបានអនុញ្ញាតឲ្យទទួលបាន GSP បានថាគេអត់យកពន្ធយើងប៉ុន្តែយើងយកពន្ធគេកម្ពុជាយកពន្ធពី EU នាំចូលមកកម្ពុជាប៉ុន្តែ EU គ្មានសិទ្ធិយកពន្ធពីកម្ពុជាពីព្រោះកម្ពុជាជាប្រទេស LAC នៅក្នុង category GSP enabling clause ដែល EU បាន adopt ទៅជា EBA scheme EBA ហ្នឹងហើយនឹង GSP តែមួយទេគ្រាន់តែ EBA ហ្នឹងជា scheme របស់ EU គេប្រើ standard EU ប៉ុន្តែនៅក្រោម GSP enabling clause 1971ដូចគ្នា US គេប្រើ GSP អត់មានដូចឈ្មោះទេប៉ុន្តែ EU គេប្រើ EBA គេអញ្ចឹងត្រូវចាំគេមានឈ្មោះផ្សេងគ្នាអញ្ចឹងទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងគឺប្រទេសក្រីក្រពីច្រើនគឺដាក់ពន្ធដោយសារគាត់អត់មានបច្ចេកទេសណាត្រូវកំណត់គេទេផលិតផលគេស្តង់ដារខ្ពស់ស្រាប់តែឯងម្ដងអត់មានស្តង់ដារផងក៏ហាមគេឯងមិនឯងនាំចូលនេះទេខុសស្តង់ដារអីបើខ្លួនឯងក្រីក្រហ្នឹងអ្នកមានគេមានសិទ្ធិរើសអាហារប៉ុន្តែអ្នកក្រគឺអាហារណាក៏ញ៉ាំបានដែរនិយាយភាសាសាមញ្ញអ្នកមាននិងអ្នកក្រអ្នកមានគេរើសអាហារអញ្ចឹងពេលយើងនាំចេញទៅស្រុកគេអត់យកពន្ធទេប៉ុន្តែគេប្រើប្រាស់ស្តង់ដារនេះស្តង់ដាររបស់អ្នកមានអីគេខ្លះមាន transparency មាន SPI ប្រព័ន្ធអនាម័យពលរដ្ឋអនាម័យមាន regulation មានអីប៉ះពាល់សុខភាពជីវរដ្ឋគេមានសិទ្ធិក្នុងការដាក់គេអត់មានបានហាមឃាត់ទេខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់អញ្ចឹងអានេះជាអ្វីដែល remain stuck at the betul right now ចរចារងថ្ងៃហ្នឹងគឺចរចាយ៉ាងណាក៏អ្នកមានគេអត់ទម្លាក់អាហ្នឹងច្រើនដែរគឺគេទុកដើម្បីជា barrier មួយ men chỉ lấy cái bất cái vô lấy thà pi suy phiệp cả pi ấy tam dạ hỏi miên tầm nào phiệp miên anh nam mai phụ kiện nam mai quan phúc đam tầm ninh bên đây khi bất đó cứ cái trong ta tao nó ở đây cái tầm đẹp quân cối cái tầm đẹp ai cái chia bề đây là biến cái thợ mình cái tao phải cái nông cáp đo GSP đo IBA cái bên đây nó bên cái tầm đẹp quân hỏi cái đã ở bang bên quân này cái thì bữa ở bang bên quân ấp ở ban ham khót đi ở ban ham khót đi hãy đã nó bây chia cũng oi bật phò sọc bởi đại con nó cho một đặc biến nó hồ hiểu vì nhưng xong bị chết thà là bách đi ca cho cha để cho cha mỗi đặc biến cứ bị chớn quay bộ qua lại nó nan thay mấy giờ nữa nó bây giờ nó có bà đây bố kia bị chạy cái bố chí hay đi dương nom trồn co từ kế có từ kế thang co nó biến chít zit biến chít chloric cái na để passport đó bị sọc tiếp bị bột cái machine laboratory equipment một cái rô khuyên tham biên chít ấy nhảy mét passport sọc tiếp cái tranh certificate mất thang có nó lại nom tranh ban từ EU ban từ nom châu ban EU ban từ ở châu pun đấy ban tay cái đã năng nom tranh đọt ban tại đây rồi anh năng chỉ bia đi dùng khăn này để đã biên cái pra chắc bán nó đi dưỡng vô lắm vô nhung vô nhất nhung xong tốt vì bố alright are you fine now can I move on okay okay you got my point then three major cho mình ngắt xong rồi
Yes, sure.
okay dân cho tiền năng mất cứ ăn thai năm phí này khi mà vô bị hàng lứa ăn thai năm phí nó cứ export price bao nhiêu đứng lộ tháo chiếng normal value thế và để thay dương lộ được kèo và tiết tháo chiếng lộ đang sốc đã bay oi không có vật họ lấy kia được tổng cái kia nó đua bạc đại bà trường đấy dương tờ đô mà đây để thay nhà mùi nhưng mà trong video to thì thế subsidy cứ tiện thông tin government income có price support tạo cái đồng hôn chạy để nào mùi đã chỉ unfair chứ tiền subsidy tiền ăn thay đồng phí cứ chỉ unfair trade rule cáiហើយបន្តមកគឺ decision making in theory នៅក្នុង WTO គេប្រើប្រាស់ consensus ឬក៏ majority voting ប៉ុន្តែនៅក្នុងការស្ដែងភាគច្រើនគឺគេប្រើ consensus ក៏សងស៊ីដែលគេប្រើនៅក្នុង green room meeting ពាក្យថា green room meeting គឺសំដៅទៅលើកិច្ចប្រជុំមួយដែលសម្រាប់ឯកសារសម្រាប់បទបញ្ញត្តិនៃ WTO ដោយអត់ឲ្យមនុស្សចូលច្រើនទេគឺ green room ហ្នឹងគឺដូចថាសមាជិក WTO វាមាន164ប្រទេសដែនដី164អញ្ចឹងបើឲ្យតំណាងទាំង164សមាជិក WTO ហ្នឹងមកអង្គុយដើម្បីបោះឆ្នោតរក consensus លើកិច្ចការណាមួយគឺអត់អាចធ្វើបានទេ164នាក់មនុស្ស160នាក់ជាងខួរក្បាលផ្សេងគ្នាការគិតផ្សេងគ្នាអញ្ចឹងគេឲ្យមាន green room meeting គឺឲ្យតែប្រទេសណាដែលតំណាងឲ្យតំបន់មួយគាត់ lobby តំបន់ហ្នឹងសិនយក position របស់តំបន់ហ្នឹងហើយបានមកចរចាแล้วថាបើសិនជាលើលោកមាន9តំបន់ប្រទេស160ហ្នឹងគឺត្រូវនៅតំបន់នេះត្រូវមានមេកាយម្នាក់ដូចថានៅ Latin America អញ្ចឹងត្រូវមាន Brazil អញ្ចឹងទៅគេនៅ South Asia អញ្ចឹងត្រូវមាន India អញ្ចឹងទៅពីព្រោះប្រទេសហ្នឹងគឺវា economic status វាស្តៀងគ្នាហើយនៅ Middle East ហ្នឹងគឺឲ្យ Arabia Saudi អញ្ចឹងទៅ Saudi Arabia មកតំណាងទៅដោយសារតែពួកគាត់ហ្នឹងផលប្រយោជន៍គឺប្រេង Africa គឺឲ្យប្រទេសណាដែលតំណាងអាហ្វ្រិកាមកចូលរួមមកដែលមានអំណាចតិចទៅពីព្រោះពួកហ្នឹងសិតតាគម្រាមកំហែងដោយ climate change គេអញ្ចឹងដល់ពេលមកប្រជុំគ្នាសម្រាប់លើកិច្ចការណាមួយសេចក្តីថ្លែងហេតុឬក៏ agreement របស់ WTO ឬក៏ rule ណាមួយគឺគេយកតែ10ប្រទេសហ្នឹងទេដែលតំណាងតំបន់ទាំងអស់មកសម្រាប់នៅក្នុង green room អញ្ចឹងបើយើងសម្រាប់និយាយជាមួយប្រទេសក្នុងតំបន់យើងថាចំហយើងចេះអញ្ចឹងយើងមិនអត់លើកអញ្ចេះបើថាសម្លេងយើងម្នាក់គឺតំណាងឲ្យប្រទេសសមាជិក30នាក់ទៀតទៅក្នុងតំបន់អញ្ចឹងអត់ឲ្យពួកគាត់មកអង្គុយទាំងអស់ទេតែប្រហែលអ្នកទេក្នុងនេះដើម្បីរកអីគេ consensus គេយើងសាកសម័យឲ្យ delegate គេ164ប្រទេសដែនដីហ្នឹងមកចូលប្រជុំឲ្យរក consensus រកមិនបានទេតាពាក្យថា consensus because be majority តែ50/1ហើយហើយឬក៏ two-thirds majority 2/3ហើយរកឃើញស្រួលទេប៉ុន្តែ consensus រកមិនឃើញទេ consensus មានន័យថាម៉េចខ្ញុំសួរវិញពីណាគេយកពី consensus តើអត់មានពីណាគេបកកាយ បើសិនជាគាត់នឹង abstain ក៏គេហៅថា consensus ដែរអញ្ចឹងបើសិនជា abstain 3នាក់4នាក់ឬក៏មានបណ្ណាគេប្រកែកតែម្នាក់ដាច់ចង្ការប្រកែកលេងប្រកែកចោលអញ្ចឹងអត់មាន consensus លេងហើយ163ប្រទេសទៀត agree ទាំងអស់ស្រាប់តែមួយហ្នឹងគឺបដិសេធខ្លាំងដាច់ចង្ការ I cannot agree to this proposal to this agreement 164ទៀតអត់ប្រយោជន៍អត់ធ្វើបាត់អញ្ចឹងគេអត់ធ្វើអញ្ចឹងបានទេគេត្រូវឲ្យមាន green room meeting ឲ្យពួកនោះ lobby ក្នុងតំបន់ខ្លួនឯងសិនចាំមកចរចានៅក្នុង green room ហើយ green room ហ្នឹងគឺដូច green screen អញ្ចឹងបើថាចូលទៅក្នុងបន្ទប់ហ្នឹងគឺពីក្រោយបន្ទប់ហ្នឹងនៅក្នុងបន្ទប់ហ្នឹងគឺអញ្ចឹងពណ៌បៃតងទាំងអស់ស្ដាប់ទៅគឺរៀងកំ pl ប៉ុន្តែអញ្ចឹងពណ៌បៃតងមិនថានៅពេលដែលគេប្រជុំហើយគេប្រចាំង screen គឺអាបៃតងវាលោតទៅជាប្រទេសអាបៃតងគេដាក់យើងដឹងថា green screen មានន័យថាគេដាក់ផ្ទាំងបៃតងនៅពីក្រោយហើយគេអាចកាត់តដាក់រូបណាអញ្ចឹងអ្នកនេះអង្គុយនេះប៉ុន្តែមានប្រទេស20អ្នកនៅពីក្រោយគាត់ទាំងទៅហ្នឹង green room meeting នៅក្នុង WTO concept វាអញ្ចឹងសូមចាប់ឲ្យបានថាគេមាននីតិវិធីគេមិនមែនពីព្រោះខ្ញុំក៏ធ្លាប់ឆ្ងល់ដែរថាម៉េចបាន WTO design អីបានពីព្រោះបើ160ប្រទេសជាសមាជិកគេដោះស្រាយមិនទៅលោកអើយម៉ូដអីមិនទៅរក consensus មិនបើអញ្ចឹងពិបាកបើនៅ UN យើងមាន majority vote two-thirds majority អញ្ចឹងទៅដូចនៅបោះឆ្នោតនៅ UNSC គឺត្រូវតែបានសម្លេងប្រហែល8 លើ 15 ឬក៏9 លើ 15នៅ UNSC អញ្ចឹង visual ទេប៉ុន្តែ consensus នេះពិបាកអាស៊ានចឹងដែរអាស៊ានតែប្រើ consensus គឺពិបាកកូសង្ស៊ីនេះចាំមើលកម្ពុជាធ្វើយ៉ាងផ្ទះចាំមើលប្រើកូសង្ស៊ីនេះចាំមើលវាវែងឆ្ងាយដល់យ៉ាងណាណាអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំសូមបន្តទៅមុខហើយដោយសារនេះខ្ញុំបានកង់ពីមុនហើយខ្ញុំមិនចង់កង់សារថ្មីទេបើមានអីសួរ interrupt ខ្ញុំផ្ទាល់តែម្ដងកុំចាំដល់ពេលណាពេលអីទៀតណា
Teacher, I have a question.
Come on.
Teacher, like if the one representative of a region, let's say, have well, like have finally reached a consensus on any matter, and then the representative have a conflicting interest with the region that they represent, then
yeah, that is their way how to find the compromise between them before they go to the green room. They must find compromise. Okay? And I don't have answer to them. It depends on the skill of that state to find compromise. Okay? For ASEAN, even those ASEAN, we got ASEAN 6 and ASEAN 4. 6 refer to the ASEAN, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, okay, and Brunei, Jerusalem, rich. While the ASEAN 4, we refer to Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, and Myanmar, right? Let's say that. But at the end of the day, there must be only one single entity from a single delegate from ASEAN to represent ASEAN member state as a whole to the WTO to vote on certain issues. So I don't have any answer whether they manage in any way to find compromise, but it's the skill of that state, that representative to find compromise first among their members in their geographical location before they can go on board to vote to find consensus in the green room meeting of the WTO. Okay, so that is my answer. It might not be clear, but I think it is clear for you. Okay, it depends on the skill of state to find compromise by themselves. Have no answer. All right. Okay. This is very important, guy. Structure of the WTO. Okay, you learn a lot about the origin of the WTO. You learn a lot about the rule of the WTO. You can know whether the state impose certain level of tariff, violate the WTO principle or not. You already know, right? But you don't know how the WTO works. Okay? You only know the origin, when it was created, by the Bretton Woods system, in what manner, what article, what agreement. Let's say that you know. Okay? You know the rule, but right now you don't know the structure. So it means that you still lack the understanding of the function of the WTO. So right now, I decided to include the structure of the WTO for you guys to understand. Okay, what is the integral part of the WTO, the very mega and active organization in the world. So the top body of the WTO is the ministerial conference. Okay, I'm gonna explain to you. And then under the ministerial conference, we got general council that can also take charge as what we call alter ego. Alter ego means it can also take part in the dispute settlement body, or it can also take part in the trade policy review body of the WTO. Okay, and under the General Council, we got 4 more important body, which is the Committee on Trade and Development and Trade and Environment. And then we have the Good Council, the council that involved with the trade in good. And then we have the Intellectual Property Council, the council that involved with the protections of intellectual property. And the last council is the Council on Trade in Service. We call it Service Council. This is the very brief structure of WTO, but I'm gonna explain one by one what does it mean by MC, DSP, JC, TPLP, okay, and TCDE, General Council, Good Council, and other stuff. Okay, let's go with me to the other slide. Okay, just take note of complete admin period you look at. Okay, what is Ministerial Conference? Okay, again, Ministerial Conference is the top and supreme body of the WTO. Ministerial Conference is the conference that is attended by ministers. So again, unlike United Nations, you have your Prime Minister to also attend the decision there. We have Barack Obama, we have Prime Minister Hun Sen to New York, but sometimes, but not sometimes, but our Prime Minister always assign our Deputy Prime Minister. But at the United Nations, head of government can represent the state to join. But at the WTO, no, only ministers are needed because the top body of the WTO structure is the Ministerial Conference. Why conference is a top body? Strange to you, right? But for the WTO study or student, if you know clearly, it's very easy. Ministerial Conference is actually a body, but it is not permanent. Okay? It means that it might be held in this country this year, and the other 2 years it might be held in somewhere else. So it does not have a fixed location. It is not like the headquarters of the WTO in Geneva, Switzerland, that stay there forever. But here, the top body of the WTO that decide on many matters that I'm gonna tell you below here is not fixed in terms of location. It might be moved from one country to another based on the decision by the MC here. Okay, so Ministerial Conference composed of all representatives of the member of the WTO. It is the highest and supreme body of the WTO as well. It meets every 2 years. The first meeting was convened in Singapore in 1996, 1 year after the creation of the WTO. And the last time will be in 2019. Okay, but unfortunately, it could not happen. It could not happen because why? Because of COVID-19. So it was I mean COVID-19 ministerial conference was subject to be held in late 2019, but unfortunately because of the arrival of COVID-19 the time, the world decided, I mean the member of the WTO decided to suspend, okay, the ministerial conference, okay, to be held in 2020. But when COVID-19 still consumed another year in 2020, full-fledged COVID-19 infection across the world, they decided to suspend to 2021 here. But right now, we are still not clear whether we are gonna be able to host or to hold the MC ministerial conference here or not. Okay, let us see all together. But if it is held, it will be held in Kazakhstan. Okay, in the what we call Astana. Astana is the city of Kazakhstan. Okay, so it meets every 2 years. Okay, the first time in Singapore. And what is the why do we call ministerial conference here the top and supreme body of the WTO? Because if you look at the right that the MC can decide are very, you know, are very technical, are very supreme. Okay, so let's see how the ministerial conference can decide or can make decision on. Okay, so the ministerial conference can make final and binding, okay, final and binding decision on all matter in the multilateral trade agreement, okay, on all matter under the multilateral trade agreement. For example, first it can also adopt it can adopt the authoritative interpretations of the WTO agreement. For example, if the agreement has conflicting interpretations of some keyword, it will be decided by the ministerial conference that will be held in 2 years. Okay. Granting waiver. For example, if Cambodia want to get some exemptions, want to get some waiver, for example, we want to get some extension for our applications of some commitment, we need to propose to the MC, and then MC will decide when the ministerial conference happen. Okay, so the minister that joint ministerial conference will decide on the matter of waiver grant to Cambodia. Amendment. If the member of the WTO wish to amend, to make some change or to make some adjustment on WTO law, okay, they can file the amendment proposal to the General Secretariat, and then the WTO Secretariat will circulate the amendment proposal and then put onto the table for the minister of the member of the WTO in the ministerial conference to decide, to adopt the amendment. Making decision on accession. For example, if Cambodia wished to join the WTO, let's go back to 2003 when Cambodia was very active or busy in filing document to get itself acceded into the WTO. It was the ministerial conference that decided the accession of Cambodia in 2014. 2014, along with Nepal. Nepal joined first, one or 2 days before us, but Cambodia joined later on 13 October 2004. So it made decision on accession. The future settlement body cannot make decision on acceding any new member into the WTO. Only MC, ministerial conference here, can make decision on admitting new member into WTO. Appointing the DG of the WTO. The Director General of the WTO needs to be appointed by the ministerial conference. They cannot just elect by the member, but they must be decided by the member that joined the ministerial conference once in every two years. Adopting step regulation. So it means that if the WTO wish to have any regulation to govern the management of a staff, for example, what staff that shall be qualified to work in this sector, in this area, in this section, it must be adopted by the ministerial conference. So you can see here, the decisions of the ministerial conference are very, big, are very huge, because they have very potential impact, on the function of the WTO. That is why MC is called the highest and supreme body of the WTO. Are you with me, guys? Fine. All right. And again, ministerial conference is not in Geneva. It's not fake in Geneva. It is in 2017. It was held in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. Cambodia also joined, and I joined my ministry in late 2016. So in 2017, I was not yet qualified to escort my delegate. But maybe in 2021, I'm gonna join. Maybe let's say, but we are not yet quite sure because still the COVID-19 is everywhere. So I'm not quite sure about this new. Yeah. So it is held in many countries, and I'm not quite sure whether Cambodia will be able to hold to host the ministerial conference meeting in some year to come or not. Let us see altogether whether we gonna achieve this dream. So move on to the other. So here is the new of the ministerial conference. In 2020, on 17 March 2020, the new of the WTO was very striking the headline, especially the ministerial conference that was subject to be held in 2019 was suspended, to be in 2020. But unfortunately, in 2020, WTO decided to cancel its ministerial conference once again. And they asked the question, now what? It means that it has been suspended in 2019. Right now, it's suspended once again in 2020. So now what? What will be happening because of COVID-19? And also, I want to tell you that DG, Director General of WTO, also resigned in 2020. Why? Because they could not deal with the issues of COVID-19. Because COVID-19 dominated the world trade agenda. No trade happened in the world during the COVID-19 peak in early 2020. Because every state decided to stockpile their goods, not to export. Some decided not to export their raw materials. Some decided to not export their PPE, personal protective equipment. Some decided not to export their facial mask to the other country because they want to preserve for the local consumption. So trade did not happen in early 2020, and also mid 2020 during the peak of COVID-19 infection. That when across the all parts of the world. I can say that. So the DG could not solve this issue, also complicated by the trade war between the US and China, and also the blockage of the appellate body, that we did not have enough judge up until now. So he decided to resign. Okay? So when he resigned, no director general so far. It was only in mid 2021 here that we finally decided to get new DG from Nigeria, who secured the final round with South Korean trade minister, who was about to be elected as the DG of the WTO, but unfortunately she fell in the final round. She was ousted by the Nigerian minister, who is right now becoming the DG, the new DG of the WTO, Miss Ilova, Eva, something, I forgot her name, but you can go to second Google the new DG of the WTO, you will see. Okay, go with me. Okay, General Council. Okay, go back to the previous slide that I just shown you. This one is Ministry Conference, it's the top, and then underlying it we call General Council. So we finished MC. Let's move on to General Council here. General Council is not like Ministry Conference. It is based on Geneva. It is based on Geneva, and it is also not similar to. It is also not the same as ministry conference, in a way that the participant in the General Council is not the minister, but the ambassador level diplomat. Ambassador, for example, in Cambodia, we got the ambassador of Cambodia to the WTO. Okay, not to Geneva, but to the WTO in Geneva. Okay. We have another ambassador of Cambodia to Geneva to represent Cambodia in Switzerland, but we have another ambassador of Cambodia to represent Cambodia to WTO, also based in Geneva. So right now in Geneva, we got two ambassadors. And it is not meet once in every 2 years like MC, but it is meet once every 2 months. Okay, not 2 years, but 2 months. Okay, and unlike the MC, the General Council here is fake, held in Geneva. Okay, we cannot move. Okay, this year we need to celebrate or host the events of the meeting of General Council in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The next year go to Sierra Leone. Okay, next year go to Abu Dhabi of United Arab Emirates. Okay, so we cannot switch the locations of the meeting of the General Council. It must be fixed in Geneva only, right? And the chair of the General Council is elected once a year, so it rotates once every year. Okay, from among its members. Okay, so Cambodia can also be, if we are lucky enough, or if we are capable enough, not lucky, if we are capable enough, we will be one day elected as the chair of the General Council, that we can execute some important policy of this organization. And the responsibility of General Council is not that much. It is only responsible for the daily management of the WTO, and also exercise full power between ministerial conference. As I said, ministerial conference happen once in every 2 years. So between this MC and the other MC in the next 2 years, the power will be executed by the General Council here. Okay, General Council. So General Council will do everything remain by the MC to prepare for the next MC. Okay, to prepare for the next MC. I call it MC, mean ministerial conference. Okay, the General Council meeting shall be closed door and private. MC is very liberal, is very public. Everybody can join. We have the public forum at the sideline, on the sideline of the MC meeting. But for the General Council here, since it is involved by the technical level, ambassador level here, the meeting must be private and closed door, because it decides on substantive confidential matter of the member of the WTO. It is not public, open to the public, all right? That is the nature of the General Council. It can also convince to discharge the role of the DSP and TPR. It means that if the dispute settlement body, the judge, we have no judge, we will allow the member of the General Council here to take part as the judge, depending on their qualification. Found might change with the regulation of the DSU, dispute settlement understanding or agreement. Okay, and it can also take a role or discharge a role in the trade policy review. I'm gonna tell you what does it mean by the DSP and what does it mean by TPR. The DSP and TPR, when they are discharged of the role by the General Council, they are called alter ego of the General Council. Alter ego mean alternative actor. Alternative actor. អញ្ចឹង DSB និង TPR ហ្នឹងគឺ general console ហ្នឹងអាចទៅធ្វើក៏បានគេថាពេលណា DSB ត្រូវការគាត់ decide ទៅធ្វើហ្នឹងពេលណា TPO ត្រូវបានចាប់ផ្ដើមគាត់ទៅធ្វើហ្នឹងដែរអញ្ចឹង DSB ដែល general console ដែលនៅកណ្ដាលយើងមើលក្នុងនេះគឺវានៅកណ្ដាលគេប៉ុន្តែវាអាច decide ទាំង trade policy review body ហើយវាអាចទាំង decide ទៅធ្វើការឲ្យ dispute settlement body ហើយពីក្រោមវាគឺមាន4 console ទៀតអញ្ចឹងវាជាអគ្គប្រឹក្សាព្រោះវាគឺជាប្រឹក្សាក្រុមប្រឹក្សាទូទៅទេមាន committee គណៈកម្មការលើ trade and development មានក្រុមប្រឹក្សាតំណែងក្រុមប្រឹក្សាសេវាកម្មក្រុមប្រឹក្សាកម្មសិទ្ធិបញ្ញាប៉ុន្តែនៅលើវាហ្នឹងគឺមានអគ្គក្រុមប្រឹក្សាដែលយើងនិយាយមិញហ្នឹងនេះ general console the ambassador level general execute អូខេអូខេគ្នាយើងសម្រាប់សិនចុះឲ្យម៉ោង 7:30 ចូលមកតែម្ដងហើយយើងបន្តកន្លែងនេះដើម្បីឆាប់បានចប់យើងថ្ងៃហ្នឹងបែរជាចប់តាន់ម៉ោងហើយខ្ញុំព្យាយាមពន្លឿនណាអូខេ see you guys ខ្ញុំសូម have dinner តិចហើយលេបខាងតិចអរគុណ bye bye Hello, guys. Are you back right now?
Yes, teacher.
All right. So can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So a moment ago we studied the MC, the first and the top and highest body of the BTO that is not fake. It is held in country to country, okay, based on the decision by the MC members. Okay. And then we also concluded the explanation on the role of the general console, which is below the MC, and it can also take charge the role of the DSP and also the threat policy review body. And we hear the word DSP, but we don't know exactly what does it mean. We don't know exactly what does it work, and we don't know who is working for the DSP right here. Okay, so let's go with me right now, and we just got back to the question by one student this evening, asking about what should we do when one member is found violating any provision of the veto law. For example, if a member has imposed higher tariff on the other member beyond its boundary committed under it schedule of concession sent to the veto so far. So who will execute or who will put punishment on the violating member? Right here. Deputy Settlement Body is convinced by the General Counsel one to deputy rights. As I said, the General Counsel takes charge of the role of the DSP as well. And the role of the DSP, Deputy Settlement Body here, include the role to establish Deputy Settlement Panel. It means that when one party, one member of the BTO consider that the measure by the other member has constituted a violations of any international trade provision, for example, violated the most favored nation principle in Article 1 of GATT, or Article 3 of GATT regarding national treatment, or Article 11 of GATT regarding the quantitative restriction, or Article 24 of GATT regarding the RTA arrangement, and many more, right? So they found that the other member violate any provision, they can file the request to the dispute settlement body to convince the consultation stage. Okay, so before the dispute arrive at the dispute settlement body panel, it must undergo through what we call consultation stage. So if one party file the request for the creation establishment of consultation facilitated by the DSP here, the other member has no right to reject. Let's say that party Cambodia found that the measure by Thai imposed by Thai government on the border is violating Article 1 of GATT. So Cambodia decided to file the request for the establishment of the consultation between Cambodia and Thailand. And then Thailand said that, no, I will not go to the dispute settlement body, to the DSB at your request, because I have my own sovereignty. No, this is the WTO, this is not ICJ. ICJ will respect the decision by the both party. Cambodia want to file complaint against Thailand on the issues of Previous Temple, but if Thailand does not agree to go to the ICJ, the case cannot be proceeded at the ICJ. But at the WTO here, when one party, when one party of the conflict file for the request of consultation to the DSP, the other member, the other party must join. Okay, you cannot reject on the ground that you have your own sovereignty. No, you cannot do so, because here you are mandated, you are legally required to join at the request by the other party. Okay, again, this is mandatory. It is not based on your decision, based on the grounds of sovereignty. No, here, if you are file complaint again for the consultation stage, panel, or the dispute settlement body, appellate body, let's say that, you must go. Okay, you must go. Okay, so if the consultation fail, okay, if no party is satisfied or either one party is not satisfied with the result of consultation, they will file further to the dispute settlement body to create what we call dispute settlement panel here. And here is the role of the DSP to establish the dispute settlement panel when a party is not satisfied with the consultation. Okay, consultation. So I think bad network quality here. Guy, can you listen to me well? Fine, right?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, yeah.
Very smooth.
So okay, very smooth. Okay, so when the panel they have their own procedure as under mean, at least the mean under the dispute settlement understanding 1995. We call dispute settlement understanding DSU. I'm gonna show you next time. Okay, if the panel when they are formed, they compose of the certain number of judge, and then within the limited period of time that is defined by the law, they will issue the report, okay, to the party, okay. So they will issue the report and then circulate the report to the member of the dispute settlement body. And I think you know quite well the member of the dispute settlement body are the member from the general council. As I said, general council also discharge the role of the DSB. Okay. So when the report by the panel is circulated to the dispute settlement body, and then the member of dispute settlement body agree, let's say that consensus agree on the report will be officially issued, and then they will send the report to the conflicting party. And if any party is not satisfied with the report, okay, or both party or either one party of the conflict is not satisfied with the report of the panel here refer to the ruling, okay. Report mean ruling under the WTO, not ordinary report, okay. Report here refers to the legally binding ruling, okay. So if any party is not satisfied with the report or the ruling, they can file further to the dispute settlement body to create what we call the up, not create, okay, not create, to refer the case from the panel to the appellate body. Okay, why don't I say create? The panel is created because if you go to the lower part of this slide, the panel is ad hoc. Okay, so it means that ad hoc means provisional. Mean if you have one case you want to solve at the panel, you request for the establishment of the panel. Okay, of the panel. So when the issue has been finished with the report issued by the panel will be dissolved. The panel is only for that case. Okay, so if the panel finish with the issuing of the report for that case, the panel will be dissolved. And then if the party is not satisfied with the panel report, they will file further to the dispute settlement body to bring the case to the appellate body. And appellate body is not created. Appellate body is permanent, is long term, okay, is functional forever. It depends on the number of judge available only, right? If the judge requires 7 people, but right now we got only 1 judge remain at the dispute settlement body, appellate body here. Okay, the appellate body here we got only 1 judge right now, and that is why the WTO is right now in deadlock, because when the dispute that is done at the panel stage is not certified by the member, they file further to the appellate body, and then appellate body has no judge right now. That is the deadlock of appellate body. Okay, go back to the role. Okay, I went too far, right? So the role of the DSB here to establish the dispute settlement panel, and if the panel create the report that does not satisfy the party or both party, the party can refer, okay, can file further to the dispute settlement body, and then the DSB will refer the matter to arbitration, okay, or to the appellate body, okay. Uh, uh, so I told you already about the state. It from consultation and then panel and then appellate body. But if appellate body still cannot provide the report or the ruling that satisfy both party can go to the last stage of adjudication, which is called arbitration. Okay, arbitration in Khmer mean okay, so the first stage, consultation. If fail, go to panel. If fail, go to appellate body. If fail, both parties decided to go to arbitration. Arbitration is not under the dispute settlement body. Arbitration is decided by the 2 parties with 3 judges. Okay, 1 judge chosen by 1 party, 2nd judge chosen by the other party, while the 3rd judge must be independent, chosen by the 2 judges. Must be chosen by the 2 judges. And why I put under dispute settlement body here? Because the dispute settlement body has the responsibility to refer the case to arbitration. Okay. To refer the case to arbitration when the arbitration has been created by the 2 parties. So dispute settlement body can only create consultation, panel, and appellate body, but cannot create arbitration. Arbitration is only when both parties are not satisfied with the report of the appellate body. They will create by themselves, and then the arbitration report must be the final. Okay, arbitration report is the final legally binding decision that both parties must accept. Okay, must accept. If you do not accept, you will face punishment. Okay. So these are the role of the dispute settlement body. Okay, I went too far, but I want to make it a little clear right now for you guys to remember before we have another lecture on the dispute settlement body exclusively. Okay, in the next session. Okay, beside the creation of the panel, referring the matter to arbitration, adopt the panel report, appellate body report, and arbitration report, they also have the role to maintain surveillance over the implementation of recommendation and ruling contained in the report. The report of the panel, the report of appellate body always contain implementation and recommendation, and not implementation, always contain a recommendation for both parties to do. Okay, for example, if the panel found that party A has violated the provision used by party B, the panel, the judge in the panel will recommend party A to adjust the measure, to reduce this barrier, to remove this barrier. Okay, so the recommendation must be implemented. Okay. So if party A who lose the case in both panel, in both appellate body, or in both the arbitration, if they lose the case and then they do not implement the recommendation provided by the panel judge or by the appellate body judge or by the arbitrator, they will be facing punishment, because the dispute settlement body always keeps surveillance or always monitor the implementation of the recommendation or the other mechanism provided under the ruling or the report. Okay, so again, dispute settlement body, okay, need to monitor the implementation of the party, whether the losing party implement what the dispute settlement body, I mean the panel, the appellate body or the arbitrator recommended or not. Okay, so they have the right, they have the obligation to monitor. Okay, and beside this, when they found that the implementation is not made by any party who lose the case, they will authorize the suspension of concession in the event that any party does not comply with the recommendation and ruling. Let's say that if party A does not comply with the ruling, with the recommendation provided under the report by the appellate body, by the panel, the dispute settlement body will authorize, okay, the suspension of concession, meaning that all party, okay, not all parties, sorry, the party that won the case has the right, okay, to suspend concession. Suspend concession, as I said earlier, it means that party B will impose barrier. It can be non-tariff barrier or tariff barrier corresponding to the measure imposed by party A. Okay, so if party A does not, implement the recommendation provided by the judge, the dispute settlement body allow party B, okay, to suspend concession, okay, to remove concession by imposing barrier, by imposing new tariff corresponding to what party A has done. Okay, retaliation. Okay, retaliation. So these are the important role of the dispute settlement body. Okay, dispute settlement body, and under the dispute settlement body, we have two important main body. First one is the panel. Consultation has no judge. Okay, consultation is only the engagement between two parties, coordinated by the member of the dispute settlement body. We have no judge, but we have two body that have judge. The first one is panel. As I said, panel is ad hoc, is provisional. It is only created case by case. If the case is solved, if the panel or the issue the report for that case, and then the dispute settlement body approve, the panel here will be dissolved, will be removed, will be deleted. Let's say, to make it simple, will be dissolved. Okay, it is ad hoc, it is provisional. But appellate body, no, it is a standing body that stay there forever, but the judge there will rotate. Okay, the judge here we have 7 judge in the quorum, 7 judge, but for a case to be heard, there must be 3 judge. Okay, so one time there might be 2 cases to be heard because there are 7 judge and only 3 judges. 3 judge will be needed to hear a single case. Okay, so simultaneously they can have 2 case at the same time, because 3 judge for one case, 3 judge for one case, the other 1 judge remain for rotating. Okay, for replacing any judge that will be missing, for example. So again, panel is ad hoc or provisional. okay, case by case, but appellate body is long term. It's a standing body that need the judge to have in a quorum. Okay, so if we got only one judge, like right now, 7 or 6 judge already expired their term. So right now we got only one judge, and they want to elect new judge, but the US blocked the selection of new judge. That is why right now appellate body is stuck. We got only one judge, and the trade war between the US and China cannot be solved at the WTO, because even though they are so at the panel, but if one party, let's say China, is not happy with the recommendation or ruling of the panel, it falls further to the appellate body, but appellate body cannot hear the case, because why? It is right now having only one judge. Okay. You can go to say Google right now, you will see the appellate body crisis of the WTO. Okay. You might never know when you never studied here, but right now, from now on, you know what happened at appellate body. The US blocked the selection of the new judge, 6 more judge. And we need 3 judge to hear a case, but right now we got only 1. How can we hear the case? Okay. Are you with me right now, guys? Clear? I do not expect you to be very clear, but at least you get something from my lecture now, okay? Because we're gonna have one more lecture exclusively on the diffuse settlement body next session. Not next session, but the next session onwards, okay? Okay, are you clear right now? Fine? Get a point?
Sure.
Yes, come on.
So one second can only retaliate the other then they doesn't change they don't change their rule. Is it what you mean?
Yeah, if they put the measure, let's say the measure that impose barrier on trade on party B, A impose 7% of tariff. That is violating the provision of most favored nation, because in principle, A committed to impose only 3%, but right now it imposed 7% on Thailand. Cambodia imposed on Thailand. So Thailand found that it is not fair that Cambodia imposed only 3% on the product from the other country, but 7% on the product from Thailand. So Thailand decided to file complaint. First, it does not start with the complaint, but it filed the request for consultation. Okay, so if consultation fail, okay, does not provide any satisfactory result to Thailand or Cambodia, they can go further to the panel, and then the panel can go to the appellate body, and then appellate body can, if it's not, if appellate body does not create a report that certified both party, and then they file further to the arbitration, they will form arbitration, and arbitration must be final, last binding. Okay, so if arbitrator found that Cambodia really violated the provision of Article 1 of GATT, because it provides unequal treatment between the rest of the member of the WTO and to Thailand. So the arbitrator, when I found Cambodia violated Article 1 of GATT, so arbitrator will put recommendation in the report of in the ruling of the arbitration to ask Cambodia, okay, to force Cambodia to remove its 7% barrier, okay, 7% tariff on product. Not remove, but to reduce from 7% to 3% as it committed, as it applied to the other member on the same product from the rest of the world, the rest of the member of the WTO. Okay, so if Cambodia still does not remove 7%, Cambodia is very angry with Thailand over private temple. We want to retaliate. So they will not impose, they will not ask Cambodia to go to international prison. They will not allow police to catch Cambodia. No, we have no international police, no international prison. But the arbitrator, they will report to the dispute settlement body, and the dispute settlement body will authorize Thailand to impose 7% of tariff on the product from Cambodia. Okay. If we have same product, same sector, and same agreement. Okay, if no product, no same product export from Cambodia to Thailand, Thailand cannot impose, and then Thailand may refer to same sector. Okay, let's say agriculture. It means that លើកម្មវិធីថៃដាក់ពន្ធលើ7%លើស្វាយថៃកម្ពុជាដាក់ពន្ធ7%លើស្វាយនាំចូលមកពីថៃប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេលស្វាយនាំចូលមកពីប្រទេសផ្សេងកម្ពុជាអត់យកពន្ធឥឡូវនិយាយចឹងអត់យកពន្ធអញ្ចឹងថៃឃើញថាកម្ពុជារំលោភកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងរំលោភ commitment វាពីព្រោះកម្ពុជាក្នុង commitment ក្នុង MFN គឺអត់យកពន្ធលើស្វាយទេប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេលមកឥឡូវមកយកពន្ធលើស្វាយ7%ពីថៃអញ្ចឹងបានន័យថារំលោភ provision មាត្រា1ឯនៃ GATT ខ្ញុំនិយាយពី MFN អញ្ចឹងថៃ សុំ consultation អត់ជោគជ័យទៅ panel អត់ជោគជ័យទៅ appellate body គេឲ្យនៅកម្ពុជាឈ្នះអត់ជោគជ័យមកបណ្ដឹងទៅដល់ arbitration ចឹងកម្ពុជានិងថៃឯកភាពគ្នា form arbitration ចឹងស្រាប់តែ arbitration ឲ្យកម្ពុជានឹងចាញ់ដោយសារតែកម្ពុជាពិតជាបាន violate មាត្រា1មែនអញ្ចឹងគឺចេញ ruling មកថាកម្ពុជាត្រូវតែ remove អា 7% នឹងចោលពីបញ្ហាពីផលិតផលថៃអញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាកម្ពុជានៅតែមិនអនុវត្តតាម ruling ដែល arbitration បានផ្ដល់ឲ្យដែលកម្ពុជាត្រូវតែ remove ប៉ុន្តែកម្ពុជាអត់ remove arbitration ហ្នឹងគឺអាចត្រូវ report សកម្មភាពរបស់នេះហ្នឹងមិនបាច់ report ក៏បានដែរពីព្រោះ dispute settlement body ហ្នឹងគឺគេ surveillance ហើយគេ keep monitoring ហើយអញ្ចឹងដល់ពេលដែលកម្ពុជានៅតែមិនអនុវត្តតាមអ្វីដែល last resort last mechanism of arbitration ដែលតម្រូវឲ្យកម្ពុជា remove ប៉ុន្តែកម្ពុជាមិន remove dispute settlement body អូសរាយប្រទេសថៃនឹងឲ្យយកពន្ធ7%ដូចគ្នាលើផលិតផលកម្ពុជាស្វាយដែលនាំចូលទៅថៃវិញអញ្ចឹងអាមួយថៃនាំចូលមកកម្ពុជាជាប់ពន្ធឥឡូវបើកម្ពុជានាំចូលស្វាយទៅថៃជាប់ពន្ធវិញប៉ុន្តែបើសិនជាកម្ពុជាអត់នាំចូលស្វាយទេណាអញ្ចឹងថៃមានដាក់អ្វីបានពីព្រោះគាត់ថាឲ្យដាក់ដូចផលិតផលដូចគ្នាអត់អាចទៅដាក់អីផ្សេងអត់អាចទៅដាក់ឡានទេអញ្ចឹងគឺក្រៅពីអត់មាន same product DSB នឹងអនុញ្ញាតឲ្យថៃ impose 7% duty នឹង on same sector product ពីព្រោះថៃនាំស្វាយមកកម្ពុជាតែកម្ពុជាមាននាំស្វាយទៅថៃទេអញ្ចឹងហើយឥឡូវappellate dispute settlement body ឲ្យថៃដាក់ 7% ប៉ុន្តែមិនដាក់លើស្វាយពីកម្ពុជាទេពីព្រោះអត់មានស្វាយទេដាក់ទៅលើ same sector អញ្ចឹងស្វាយនេះនៅក្នុង sector គេស្វាយ agriculture អញ្ចឹងថៃអាចដាក់លើអង្គបាទដាក់ពន្ធលើអង្គពីកម្ពុជាទៅវាទុំបីមិនជាស្វាយមិនជា same product ប៉ុន្តែ same sector វិស័យកសិកម្មតែមួយដាក់ពន្ធ 7% លើនេះពីខ្មែរលើការចេញកពីខ្មែរហើយខ្មែរមានសិទ្ធិប្តឹងថៃមិនអត់មានសិទ្ធិប្តឹងតែប្តឹងបើឈ្នះបើ DSB គេអូសរាយឲ្យថៃនឹង retaliate ដោយសារតែកម្ពុជាគេឲ្យ remove 7% ប៉ុន្តែកម្ពុជានៅតែ remove ការសម្ដែងរបស់ arbitration ដែលជា last resort នៅក្រោម DSB អញ្ចឹងហើយគេអាចឲ្យថៃនឹង retaliate អញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាពីរនឹងអត់ដក clear ទេកម្ពុជានៅតែឲ្យគេថៃ retaliate ខ្ញុំនៅតែដាក់ 7% គ្នាអញ្ចឹងរហូតវាតទៅរហូតប៉ុន្តែបើសិនជាដោយសារតែកម្ពុជាឃើញថៃអង្គដាក់ពន្ធលើអង្គពិតជាធ្ងន់ធ្ងរសម្រាប់ខ្លួនមិនអាចទទួលយកបានក៏ remove 7% នៃផលិតផលដែលនៃពន្ធដែលវាបានដាក់ដែលកម្ពុជាបានដាក់លើស្វាយថៃមកដាក់0វិញអញ្ចឹងថៃ remove របស់គាត់ដែរហ្នឹងនេះគឺជាយន្តការនៃ WTO ខ្ញុំនិយាយជាខ្មែរឲ្យស្រួលស្ដាប់កុំឲ្យមានការភ័ន្តច្រឡំនេះគឺជាយន្តការគឺយន្តការចុងបញ្ចប់គឺស្រួលជាង ICJ ត្រង់ថា ICJ បើប្រថៃវាយប្រាសាទព្រះវិហារ ICJ មានតែនេះមានតែឲ្យថៃដកកងទ័ពឯងអត់អាចឲ្យព្រះអត់មានឲ្យកម្ពុជានឹងទៅបាញ់លើប្រាសាទថៃណាវិញសងសឹកទេវាមិនមែនជារឿងប្រជាកម្មមិនមែនជារឿងយកពន្ធទេប៉ុន្តែរឿង WTO ស្រួលទេស្រួលត្រង់ថាអត់មានប្រតិភិបទេគឺបើសិនជាណាមួយ violate យើងអាចមាន violate មកវិញហើយ violate ហ្នឹងហើយ violate ហ្នឹងគឺមិនបាញ់ប្រាសាទបាញ់អីដែលខូចបេតិកភណ្ឌនេះគឺដាក់ពន្ធតទល់គ្នាហ្នឹងប៉ុន្តែ WTO អត់ដោះស្រាយរឿង case between US and China បាន US and China ដាក់ពន្ធតទល់គ្នាអត់មានពឹងផ្អែកទៅលើច្បាប់ WTO ទេគឺនយោបាយសុបសាទហើយ WTO គឺ deadlock appellate body មានចែកតែមួយទេរាល់ថ្ងៃនេះទៅឆែកមើល Google ទៅគឺសល់តែចែកមួយគត់ទេ appellate body in blockage in crisis ហើយរាល់ថ្ងៃអញ្ចឹងបាន trade war between US and China ហ្នឹងគឺតែពីរអ្នកហ្នឹងឆ្លងឆ្លើយគ្នាទេ WTO ហ្នឹងអត់ធ្វើអីចេញទេពីព្រោះ case ហ្នឹងវានៅជាប់ appellate body ហើយគ្មានបណ្ណាគេដោះស្រាយទេរហូតជប៉ុនឆ្លុះគ្នាជាមួយបណ្ណាថ្មីនេះរំលង appellate body ដោយសារជាប់គាំងគាត់តែចប់ panel ភ្លាមរំលង appellate body ចូល arbitration តែម្ដងវាមានអញ្ចឹងទៀតប៉ុន្តែតាមនីតិគឺអត់ទេបើជាប់គាំងគឺត្រូវជាប់គាំងតែបើសិនជាភាគីនឹងសម្រាប់ថាអូខេមិនបាច់ចាំ appellate body ក៏បានទៅ arbitration អាហ្នឹងតែ WTO ឬតែសប្បាយចិត្ត dispute settlement body ឬតែសប្បាយចិត្តតែភាគីមានឆន្ទៈស្វែងរកដំណោះស្រាយប៉ុន្តែភាគច្រើនចំនួនចាប់ពី panel ជាប់ stuck នៅ appellate body នៅនឹងអត់ទាន់ដោះស្រាយចេញរងចាំឲ្យ dispute settlement body select new judge ឲ្យគ្រប់7គោរពឬក៏យ៉ាងណាបាន3ដើម្បី hear single case okay got a point guys អានេះគឺជាគោលការណ៍ retaliation ដៃសងដៃផ្នែកសងផ្នែកក្នុងទ្រឹស្ដីរបស់លោក Hammurabi យើងស្គាល់ហើយធ្លាប់ឮក្នុង submarine ឯនោះណា okay got a point can I move on all right guys are you fine
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. Okay, don't forget to note down because you have no second time to study it. Okay, with me. With the rest, I don't care, but with me, you will have no second time. We have the other session, but I mean, in my lecture here, you must note down everything. Majority of my speaking. Okay.
Yeah.
Here you can see. Yes. Come on. No.
I want follow up. So in your example, we have dispute with Thailand, but if we don't change the measure, you said Thailand have the right
Same
to
measure.
retaliate.
Yeah, retaliate the same measure.
So this can mean that it only exists between us and Thailand, but
And
are
only
there any
Thailand,
legal
yes.
constraints? So we can still
Legal what?
conduct trade with other countries.
Trade with the other country, Cambodia impose no tariff. Okay. 0% already for mango. Okay, for swine, okay, for swine. But with Thailand, we have retaliation because if Cambodia does not withdraw the measure, still impose 7%, Thailand will do the same thing. But for the rest of the member, we still conduct trade normally. The case is only between Cambodia and Thailand, and the ruling is only binding on Cambodia and Thailand, not to impact Cambodia behavior with Japan, not to impact if Cambodia impose 2%, okay, on tariff of tariff on mango from Japan. Japan will deal with Cambodia separately from Thailand, okay. But in the WTO, it is special in a way that if Japan found that the measure, okay, that Thai imposed on Cambodia is similar to the measure Cambodia imposed with Japan. Japan and Thailand found that they both are the victim of the measure from Cambodia, while the rest of the members are not the victim because Cambodia liberalized 0% for the mango export to Cambodia. But for Japan and Thai, Cambodia imposed the same level of tariff, 7%. So Japan do not want to file complaint against Cambodia. But because Japan already found that Cambodia is right now having trade dispute with Thailand at the WTO, Japan can be what we call third party complaint by joining Thailand. Okay, joining Thailand as third party. Okay. So third party is limited in some way. Okay. For example, it cannot appeal. It can only join appeal, but it cannot appeal. For example, if a case between Cambodia is solved at a panel and Japan is also third party in the side of Thailand, and then if Thai is certified, but Japan is not certified, so Japan cannot appeal the case to the appellate body because Japan is not the full party, but it's only third party. But if Thailand agree to go to the panel or go to the appellate body, Japan go to appellate body as well. Okay, yeah, Japan go to appellate body as well. So the WTO is special in a way that it provides third party complaint. Third party complaint. And you know why they provide third party complaint mechanism? Because they believe that some developing member of the WTO, even though they found that they are the victim of the measure of some member who are powerful, they still have no power, they still have no willingness or ambition to file complaint to challenge that superpower, that powerful member who violated international trade law, who put Cambodia as a victim. So they allow Cambodia to join as third party with the rest of the member who are the victim of the measure from that powerful member of the WTO. So this is the advantage and the real intentions of providing third party complaint mechanism. Okay. Got a point? I went too far, but I want you to see how it's working. Okay. It is not like ICJ that you need consensus from both parties to go to ICJ. Thailand must go, Cambodia must go in order to hear the single case on behalf here by the ICJ judge. But here, appellate body, dispute settlement body here, if one party file a complaint or file the request for consultation, the other party must join. It must join. It is mandatory. You cannot use your sovereignty to say, I cannot join, I don't want to join, it's my right. You cannot, all right? You cannot. Okay. Clear?
Clear chưa?
Okay, very good. Okay. អញ្ចឹងអានេះជារឿងសុទ្ធតែរឿងសំខាន់ដែលត្រូវដឹង Okay, you can see if you go to the WTO website, you will see the dispute settlement section, and then you can click on it. You can say Google right now. You can click on it, and then you will see a lot of new update regarding the panel established to review China compliant with the farm subsidy ruling, Australian Australian wine dispute with China on Bali dispute, for example, the US and EU on the Boeing and Airbus airplane that was submitted to the dispute settlement bodies in 2001 and then sold in 2020, more than around 20 years, for example. So there are many cases that are right now posted on the dispute settlement section on the WTO website. So it's not like the study in 1990s, 1970 that we have no internet access, but right now we have internet access. We have, a lot of, resources to study, to conduct analysis on the WTO law. Okay, so don't worry. If you don't believe me, you can go to search right away right now if you want to, okay, to see the new idea, okay, on the panel established or the appellate body is right now stuck, okay, consultation has been submitted between one party again another party, let's say that. So you can see there, okay, it's very open access and available to the public. Okay. So I'll move on right now. It is only one example I want to illustrate right here. Okay, move on to the trade policy review body. It is also very important. Okay, the General Counsel, I mean, MC, and then go down to General Counsel, and the left of the General Counsel we got the dispute settlement body that the General Counsel can also discharge the role, and the right side of the General Counsel we got dispute settlement body. Oh no, not dispute settlement body, trade policy review body. Okay. Dispute settlement body is the judicial body, the body that involved with the conflict resolution. The trade policy review body is not the legally binding body. It only provides the report after it reviews the trade policy of the member of the WTO. Let me tell you right now, trade policy review body or TPO body here is not legally binding, but it is important in the way that I will keep answer for you later on. Okay, let me talk about objective here. The trade policy review here has the objective to improve the adherence by all members to the rule, discipline, and commitment made under multilateral trade agreement and where applicable under the plurilateral trade agreement. It means that when you are a member of the WTO, you are automatically bound to the agreement under the multilateral trade agreement, or if you join the plurilateral trade agreement, you are also a member of that, you will be bound by the PTA, plurilateral trade agreement here. So when you are bound to this agreement, when you create law, policy, or regulation in your home country, they will check. Okay, I mean, one in every 6 years for Cambodia or 7 years for Cambodia, they will ask you to defend your policy, trade policy, okay, at WTO. Okay, it means that whether your new policy, regulation, your new rule, okay, or any discipline or commitment are in line what you have been abided under the multilateral trade agreement of the WTO or not. Okay, so it is not the legally binding body just like DSV, but here it review the trade policy, and then what is the consequences? It means that if they found that the new regulation, new policy, for example, the Cambodia just recently created or endorsed adopted what we call new investment law. Anybody know that Cambodia just adopted new investment law? Anybody heard of you? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And they will let on Cambodia in the next 6 years. Cambodia will join the trade policy review body. It means that they will review the the new investment law of Cambodia as well. Not only that, but there are many more regulation and policy that Cambodia just put in place recently. They will put into the table and then review there. But how would they review? They will submit a question to the Cambodian government, especially Ministry of Commerce, and then the question will underline a number of sector or issue that are involved with trade. And then if the issue is involved with IP, if the issue is involved with investment, Cambodia Ministry of Commerce will refer the issue to get the answer from the line ministry that are in charge of the issue. Okay, and then we will circulate the single report consisting of more than 100 pages. Okay, send back to the trade policy review of the WTO, and then they will ask us to send a delegation to represent to defend a case at the trade policy review body session. Okay, so our delegate, just for example, if I am right now, if I'm soon promoted to be someone higher, I will have the power to defend Cambodia. Okay, there. Okay, our policy is in line with this agreement. We do not violate our new regulation, our new rule, our new discipline. Do not violate any commitment that we have committed under the WTO law. Okay, so it is the role of the objective of the trade policy review, and also the objective is to achieve greater transparency in or the understanding of what we call the trade policy and practice of the member. As I said, it is not legally binding mechanism here. It's only used to report. But why the report is important? Anybody know why the report of the trade policy review, even though it is not the ruling, not the report like the report here is just like non-binding report, but the report by the dispute settlement body, for example, appellate body report, panel report, are the ruling. Okay, so why the non-binding report of the trade policy review body here is important, that you have to defend your report, defend your position during the trade policy review before they issue the report. So why the report is very important? Why you need to have to be positive in the report by the trade policy review body? Anybody know? Anybody know? And this year is the trade policy review for Russia. Okay. And also this year, just like last few months, the trade policy review of China. Okay. Anybody know why the non-binding, not legally binding, non-legally binding report of the trade policy review body here is also important for the state or the member that they must defend in order to have themselves positive in the report? Anybody know why? Come on. Anybody know why? You want to answer from me now? You want to answer from me now? Okay, let me, I don't want to consume much time again. Because the report will be the reference later for investor and trader before they come to Cambodia, right? They will not go to see anything. They see your law regulation. They see your new investment law, but they don't know whether your law are in line with what you have committed under the WTO law or not. So if the report by the trade policy review body found that Cambodia has a lot of laws that are not consistent with the WTO law, investor will not risk to come to invest in Cambodia. Even the government say that, come to Cambodia, come on, we create a new investment law, we create a new policy regulation that provide a lot of advantage and also privilege and also favor to foreign investor. Come in, we welcome you completely. But suddenly the trade policy review body of the WTO issued a report that say that all the law regulation of Cambodia are inconsistent. I mean, are not consistent with the WTO law. So they will not risk to come to Cambodia. That is why Cambodia needs to defend its position during the trade policy review session, so that the report will be positive about Cambodia. It creates a reference or later reference for investors to read before they are to come to Cambodia. You got a point? Guys, fine? Reasonable enough? Logical enough? Acceptable? All right?
Yes.
What about the rest? Are you fine with that? Or you have any other motive, other rationale behind? All right. Okay. Even those WTO law said that member is equal. One state, one voice. One custom, one member, one voice, not one state. One member, one voice. Just like United Nations. One state, one voice. Just like ASEAN, one state, one voice. Here is the same. At the WTO, especially under that policy review body, one state, one voice. But during the review, okay, it is not equal. There is unequal treatment here. Why unequal treatment? Why do I say unequal treatment? Because for superpower like EU, Japan, US, and China, the review will take place very often, once per 2 years. So in every 2 years, Japan, US, EU, and China will undertake the trade policy review of the TPRB right here. And what about Cambodia, LDC? Once per over 6 years. It can be 7 years, it can be 8 years, it can be 10 years. Cambodia will be reviewed once. Okay. So one in every 2 years for Japan, EU, US, and China. once per 4 years for the other 16 members, including Canada, Australia, New Zealand, okay, some other members who are developed but not superpower, like EU, Japan, US, and China. Once per 6 years for developing members, including Thailand, including Malaysia, including Vietnam, who claim themselves to be a developing member. So they will have the trade policy review once per 6 years. But for Cambodia, LDC or other member who are LDC like Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Laos, Myanmar, their review on trade policy at the WTO will be done once in every more than 6 years. It can be 7 years, but once in every 7 years or 8 years. It depends on the availability of the slot. My question is that why EU, Japan, and China needs to have their trade policy review more often than the rest of the world, the rest of the member? Anybody know why? Easy. Come on. Why?
Can I have the question again, lecturer?
Okay. Why the EU, Japan, US, and China trade policy need to be reviewed more often than other? You can see once in every 2 years. While the other, one in every 4 years, one in every 6 years, one in every over 6 years. But why EU, Japan, and China needs to review very regularly or very often, okay, very fast? Within 2 years, they will review one. Why?
For me, I think because like the EU, Japan, US, and China, they have a lot of trading activities going on, and as well as a lot of trading partners and free trade agreements.
Yes.
So
exactly, because yes, exactly. Very good job. Very good job. The answer is there because EU, Japan, and US, and China, their trade action draw the line in the world. I mean, the US has intertwining trade relations with the rest of the world. Okay, Cambodia, we have only few trade partners. Okay, and our active trade partner are Japan, China, Thailand, Vietnam, EU, and US. But for the other more than 180 members, we do not have potential trade relation. So they don't care much about trade policy of Cambodia. But US, Japan, China, and EU, they have very active intertwining trade relation, trade activity with almost the rest of the world. So if the new policy are installed, adopted, if the policy are trade restrictive, they will cause a lot of impact on the rest of the world. For example, if US and look at the case of US and China trade war, you can see when the US and China trade war are in full swing or in full fledged or in full potential, the rest of the world are the victim. Why? Because when US cannot when US does not allow the steel and aluminum to be imported into Cambodia into US, okay, because it imposed high tariff from the for the import of steel and aluminum from China to the US. Lots of American company industry, okay, cannot operate because they need steel and aluminum, but here they don't have. So when they cannot operate, okay, they cannot purchase raw materials from some country and then stack. So the trade war between US and China, only two members impact the global value chain across the world. Okay, that is why they need to review the trade policy between EU, not between of EU, Japan, US, and China more often than other, because any new trade policy of them that are trade restrictive, that violate any provision, will cause enormous impact. Okay, will cause disastrous impact, okay, on the rest of the world, on the global value chain. For Cambodia, if we create a new law, new policy that restrict investment, restrict trade, we only cause impact on our few trading partner. We are LDC, few trading partner, but US, Japan, China, and EU, the partner are everywhere. Okay, they are partner everywhere. So the new policy must be reviewed in order to avoid inconsistency with the WTO agreement or law. Okay. Again, it is the reason why superpower 4 here, I mean, we call it power 4 here, needs to have the trade policy review more often than others. Okay, so that is the only answer. Okay. Again, the report of the trade policy review body is not like the report of the panel or the report of appellate body that is binding. The report here is not binding. But why it is important? As I said earlier, it put pressure for the member who undertake the review to have reform. Okay, why? Because if the review report found that you violate this provision, your policy are not consistent with this law, this provision, the investor will see the report, will see the negative assessment of the WTO trade policy review body on the country, then they will not come to invest in Cambodia. So it put pressure on Cambodia to do reform, to amend that law, to adjust the new policy, to change regulation in order to remain in conformity and also compliant with the WTO law, as recommended by the trade policy review body right here. Okay, so here is the role, objective, practice, and also the report of trade policy review body. Okay, again, it's very detailed already, one slide, but I give you the full picture already. Right? Cambodia. When did Cambodia have its trade policy review? Cambodia had its first trade policy review in 2011 and second one in 2017. The first one in 2011, I forgot in which location, but in 2017, it was in Buenos Aires, Argentina, right? Argentina. Okay. This is the role of trade policy review body. Okay. Here, if you go to see the trade policy review body and then you click on Cambodia section, you will see the you will be directed to the review of Cambodia in 2017. Second, in that information, they said that second review of Cambodia trade policy and practice take place on 22nd November 2017. The basis for the review is a report by the WTO Secretariat and the report by the Cambodian government. As I said, the Secretariat of the WTO will send the report, okay, the questionnaire to our government, and then the government will create the answer to the question one by one. Okay, and then we need to engage with the line ministry who are in charge with what question to answer the question comprehensively and critically, okay, in a critical manner. Okay, and then we circulate into a single report consisting of more than 100 pages, and then submit back to the WTO Secretariat for them to have the review at the trade policy review body, and then we will send a delegate, our small delegation, to defend our policy review at the WTO trade policy review body right here. Okay, so we got 2 times for Cambodia, 2011 and 2017. Okay, and let's say 2026 or 25, we will have another trade policy review because it is over 6 years. Okay, we are not like EU, Japan, US, and China. Okay, I think it's very clear and detailed for you already, right? Okay. Wait. So, basic law of the WTO. A moment ago, I talked about the basic rule. Okay, rule is about the principle. Okay, but here is about the basic law. Okay, the basic law of the WTO is the Marrakesh Agreement. I told you already in 1995 we had the Marrakesh Agreement. And last time I talked about the preamble clause for you about the Marrakesh Agreement, in the Marrakesh Agreement. So right now let us return again to this Marrakesh Agreement in 1995. And under Marrakesh Agreement, we have 2 parts of agreement. I told you already last time. We have the first part, this what we call multilateral trade agreement, MTA, binding on all members of the WTO, right? It binds on all members. So if you do not, even though you do not sign, you are a latecomer like Cambodia. The WTO was created in 1995, but we came in 2004. So we still need to undertake all obligation under all agreement of the multilateral trade agreement of WTO. Okay? Even though we are not signatory, but we are a new member, we must be bound by those agreements. However, in the plurilateral trade agreement, we only binds the member that signed them. Cambodia, the latecomer that joined the WTO in 2004, but the other agreement that Cambodia does not ratify, and the agreement are in the category of plurilateral trade agreement, we are not bound by those agreements. We have no obligation to respect those agreements. For example, civil aircraft, Cambodia has no capacity to aid to use airplane. So we don't no need to join this plurilateral agreement. Only apply to the members that are able to use airplane. Okay. What else? The Bowen-Mitz Convention or dairy government human. We are not a member, so we are not applicable under this law. Okay. So this is the basic principle or the basic law of the WTO. So we are bound by GATT 1994, by service agreement, by trade agreement, by SPS agreement, by rule of origin agreement, licensing agreement, pre-shipment agreement, subsidy agreement, anti-dumping agreement, safeguard measure, TBT, textile, trim, agriculture, custom violation, dispute, trade facilitation, and trade policy review agreement. Okay, so these are the multilateral trade agreement that bind us, bind Cambodia. Even though we are the latecomer, we did not sign, but we have to apply them as we are the new member of the WTO. It applies to all members. I think you understand quite well. Okay, jurisprudence. Cambodia was colonized by France. So the recent legal regime of Cambodia is the civil law, because France is the one that adopted civil law since the ancient time up until now. But for the country that were under the colonization by the British Empire, was right now called the Commonwealth State, they will apply common law that was adopted by the British Great Britain in the past. Okay. In the WTO, they do not use a single of them against the other one, but they use both common law and civil law. And when we talk about common law, we refer to the law that also take into account the jurisprudence or precedent. Precedent means jutesa. Anybody use the word precedent? Okay. Hello, guys. Can you see me editing the slide right now?
No, like
No, sure.
Wait. Can you see the slide right now? Okay, wait, let me go back. Trong video một ngày nóមានបានឃើញ slide អត់
Một ngày nó
ឃើញ
khơi
ទេ
chứ bạn.
អូខេទៅអត់មិញហ៎អូខេឥឡូវខ្ញុំថែមម្ដងទៀតខ្ញុំដាក់ថ្មីអូខេឃើញនៅឃើញខ្ញុំ edit នេះនៅខ្ញុំថែមពាក្យ precedent នេះឃើញនៅ Did you see the did you see the new term included in the brackets right here in the title? Wait. Can you see the slide right now?
yes.
Okay. Jurisprudence or precedent. In Khmer, oh, I forgot to put Khmer word for you. Wait, guys. Oh. Okay. See the slide right now? Okay, guys, see the slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, is jurisprudence or precedent or in Khmer jutesa of the WTO considered a law? Okay. Normally, when we talk about law in Cambodia, in order for an offense to be punished, that offense must be defined, must be mentioned in the law. ធាតុនិច្ចានុគោលដែលរៀនច្បាប់ធាតុនៃបទល្មើសគឺមាន3ធាតុនិច្ចានុគោលសត្យានុមត្តនិងអត្តនោមត្តនិច្ចានុគោលមកថាអំពើនឹងខុសច្បាប់តើអំពើនឹងមានចែងក្នុងច្បាប់ថាខុសច្បាប់ណាសត្យានុមត្តតើអំពើនឹងប្រកាសជាបច្ច័យមានការខូចខាតព្យាសនកម្មអត្តនោមត្តតើអំពើនឹងកើតឡើងពីឆន្ទៈអញ្ចឹងទាំង3នឹងទើបជាធាតុផ្សំនៃបទល្មើសខ្លាចជារឿងព្រមផ្ទាន់អញ្ចឹងដូចគ្នាWTO បើយើងដឹងយើងថាអំពើមួយជាអំពើខុសច្បាប់លុះត្រាតែអំពើនឹងត្រូវបានច្បាប់ WTO ចែងហើយចឹងបើ WTO អត់បានចែងកន្លែងហ្នឹងប៉ុន្តែចាច់ពីមុនរបស់ WTO របស់ GATT អត់ទៅមាន WTO GATT ឆ្នាំ47មកដល់ឆ្នាំ94គាត់បានកាត់សេចក្តីមកថាទោះបីសកម្មភាពហ្នឹងដូចពាក្យ live product ចឹងដូចខ្ញុំនិយាយចឹងវាអត់មាន definition ច្បាស់ទេអញ្ចឹងអត់ដឹងថាកាត់ក្តីមិនទេច្បាប់អត់ចែងទេអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែលមានចំនួនចៅក្រមទុកអញ្ចឹងឬក៏មិនអត់ទេចៅក្រមបកទៅរកសេចក្តីសម្រេចចាស់ ដើម្បីយកមកអនុវត្តទៅលើសេចក្តីសម្រេចថ្មីបើសិនជាករណីថ្មីនិងករណីចាស់វាស្តៀងគ្នាហើយច្បាប់អត់មានចែងច្បាប់វាមានចន្លោះប្រហោងអញ្ចឹងអត់មានច្បាប់ដើម្បីមើលទេគឺយើងអនុវត្តពីព្រោះច្បាប់វាមានចែងប៉ុន្តែវាអត់ចែងអត់ចែងច្បាស់អញ្ចឹងហើយទៅយកសេចក្តីសម្រេចចាស់របស់តុលាការរបស់ចៅក្រមក្នុង GAN ពីមុនហ្នឹង GAN ហ្នឹងក៏ជា debate តែមួយទេតែគាត់មុន debate វាទាន់កើតខ្ញុំបរៀនហើយកន្លែងហ្នឹងពួកយើងដឹងហើយថាហ្នឹងវាបន្តគ្នាមិនអញ្ចឹងសេចក្តីសម្រេចចាស់របស់ចាច់ពីមុនយកមកជា reference ដើម្បីដោះស្រាយរឿងថ្មីដែលច្បាប់ចែងអត់ច្បាស់ហើយដែលមានជាកម្មធុនៃចំនួនហើយមានលក្ខណៈស្តៀងគ្នាទៅនឹងករណីមុនអាហ្នឹងគេហៅថាយុទ្ធសាស្ត្រគឺសំដៅទៅលើការកាត់សេចក្តីលើករណីថ្មីដោយពឹងផ្អែកទៅលើសេចក្តីសម្រេចចាស់ពីមុនមកទៅលើរឿងក្តីដែលមានលក្ខណៈប្រែគ្នាដែលច្បាប់អត់បានចែងច្បាស់ធ្វើឲ្យមានវិវាទចាប់បានអត់ពាក្យ jurisprudence precedent ឬក៏យុទ្ធសាស្ត្រអូខេអញ្ចឹងសំណួរសួរថាតើ jurisprudence precedent ឬក៏យុទ្ធសាស្ត្រដែលជាសកម្មភាពដែលជាសេចក្តីសម្រេចរបស់ចៅក្រមពីមុននោះដែលច្បាប់បច្ច័យនេះប៉ុន្តែជាសេចក្តីសម្រេចជាសាលក្រមហើយប៉ុន្តែសួរថាវាជា law អត់ under debate law especially article 24 America's agreement it is the law okay. it is also the law ហើយពេលខ្ញុំធ្វើសារណាខ្ញុំប្រឹងធ្វើឲ្យបានបន្ទុកខ្ញុំចង់រៀនបំផុតឲ្យឈ្នះចំោះស្រួយខ្ញុំប្រឹងខ្លាំងមែនទែនខ្ញុំអត់បានគេបានលេងហើយប្រឹងខ្ញុំបាន top score ឈ្នះពួកចំោះស្រួយគឺខ្ញុំសប្បាយចិត្តឈ្នះថៃឈ្នះវៀតណាមអត់មានអីបញ្ហាស្រួលទេតែឈ្នះឲ្យចំោះស្រួយជនជាតិអង់គ្លេសហ្នឹងគឺជាអ្វីដែលខ្ញុំចង់បានប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំប្រឹងរំបានអា title ហ្នឹងគឺដោយសារតែខ្ញុំបកទៅរក case law ហ្នឹងគឺយុទ្ធសាស្ត្របែរថាសកម្មភាពមួយនៅពេលដែលខ្ញុំបកស្រាយរឿងច្បាប់នៅខ្ញុំបកស្ថានបទខ្ញុំទៅស្រាយអំពី COVID crisis ហើយនឹង international trade វាប៉ះពាល់មិនមានប្រធានសក្តិអីហ្នឹងហើយច្បាប់អត់មានចែងទេច្បាប់ពីចែងមិនថាធូររលុងច្បាប់ចែងគឺនៅមានចន្លោះច្រើនណាអញ្ចឹងដើម្បីឲ្យសារណាខ្ញុំទទួលបានការចាប់អារម្មណ៍ហើយ comprehensive ចាក់ឬគ្រប់កន្លែងខ្ញុំទៅអាន case law ហើយ case law ហ្នឹងគឺទៅអានសេចក្តីសម្រេចចាស់របស់ចៅក្រមនៃកាត់ក្តីមុនដែលមានលក្ខណៈស្តៀងគ្នាដែលឆ្លុះលើមេត្រាហ្នឹងដែលឆ្លុះលើពាក្យហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំទៅរក case law ច្រើនប៉ុន្តែreference ខ្ញុំគឺសុទ្ធតែ case law 230 footnote សារណាមួយហ្នឹងហើយសុទ្ធតែ case law សុទ្ធតែមេត្រាអញ្ចឹងអានទៅគឺ very consistent ពីព្រោះទោះបីជាច្បាប់បច្ចេកប៉ុន្តែសារណានេះពិតជាសំខាន់ដោយសារតែគាត់បានបកស្រាយបានធ្វើការវិភាគដោយយោងទៅលើសេចក្តីសម្រេចចាស់ពីមុនបកស្រាយពាក្យ live product ពាក្យ short take critical short take នៅពេលដែលគេបិទការនាំចេញនាំចូលដោយសារតែផ្គត់ផ្គង់ក្នុងស្រុកដោយសារមាន critical short take នៃ PPE medical mine ហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងច្បាប់ចែកច្បាស់ទេខ្ញុំទៅយកទៅអានហើយករណីខ្លះគឺអានវាមាន case ខ្លះគឺសេចក្តីសម្រេចគាត់900ទំព័រអញ្ចឹងយើងអាចអានបានទេយើងត្រូវទៅ scan ឆែករកពាក្យហ្នឹងហើយទៅចូលមើលក្នុងជួយកម្មពាក្យហ្នឹងកថាខណ្ឌពាក់ព័ន្ធពាក្យហ្នឹងគឺមាន6 7កថាខណ្ឌហ្នឹងក៏10កថាខណ្ឌ10ទំព័រអញ្ចឹងទៅអញ្ចឹងអត់មិនមែនជារឿងងាយស្រួលទេគឺពិបាកណាស់ហើយខ្ញុំមិនចង់ឲ្យពួកយើងធ្វើដល់ណាដឹងទេប៉ុន្តែគ្រាន់តែសារណាខ្ញុំបែរជាអាចដាក់អញ្ចឹងតិចតួចហើយខ្ញុំផ្ដោតសោះឲ្យពួកយើងទៅរកអានខ្លួនឯងដើម្បីយកមកវិភាគដើម្បីជា technique មួយដែលខ្ញុំចង់ share ឲ្យពួកយើងអញ្ចឹងបើដូច civil law criminal law ស្រុកខ្មែរច្បាប់ឯងមិននិយាយចឹងចែងនិយាយខុសពីច្បាប់គឺអត់អាចទទួលយកបានទេត្រូវឲ្យក្រុមប្រឹក្សាអង្គជំនុំជម្រះក្រុមប្រឹក្សាអង្គចៅក្រមក្រុមប្រឹក្សាធម្មមនុស្សជួយបកស្រាយឡើយប៉ុន្តែអត់ទេនៅ debate all គឺត្រូវតែយក president jurisprudence ដែលគេហៅថាសេចក្តីសម្រេចរបស់តុលាការពីចំនួនមុនហ្នឹងលើរឿងមិនថាចំនួនមុនឆ្នាំមុនក៏ដោយឲ្យតែថាពីមុនដែលមានលក្ខណៈស្តៀងគ្នាហើយកម្មវត្ថុនៃចំនួនគឺដូចគ្នាយកមកបកស្រាយបានអូខេwe can see article 20 or article 16 of Marrakesh agreement here paragraph here they say that except as otherwise provided under this agreement or the multilateral trade agreement the debate also be guided by the decision procedure and customary practice followed by the contracting party to GATT 1947 and the body established in the framework of GATT 1947 here you can see so the decision procedure and customary practice that were followed by the contracting parties since GATT 1947 up until 94 or up until now will be followed, will be guiding. Okay. The new decision, okay, except as otherwise provided under this agreement or multilateral. I mean, except the law define. I mean, if the law does not define, they will refer to the decision, procedure, and customary practice that were applied by the judge in the past. Okay. Let me look at the case of the U.S. stainless steel with Mexico. I forgot the year, but the judge ruled that for the absent cogent reason បើសិនជាគ្មានហេតុផលស្របច្បាប់ណាមួយទេ an adjudicatory body will resolve the same legal question in the same way in the subsequent case. Okay. បើសិនជាគ្មានហេតុផលស្របច្បាប់ណាមួយថ្មីទេគឺអង្គដោះស្រាយចំនួននៃករណីនេះគឺនឹងដោះស្រាយករណីវិវាទដដែលហ្នឹងដូចនឹងអ្វីដែលគាត់ធ្លាប់ដោះស្រាយក្នុងករណីមុនអញ្ចឹងបានន័យថាអ្វីដែលគាត់ធ្លាប់ដោះស្រាយពីមុនត្រូវយកមកដោះស្រាយក្នុងករណីថ្មីក្នុងករណីគ្មាន cogent reason ហ្នឹងគឺគ្មានការចែងទៅច្បាប់ cogent គឺភាសាច្បាប់អញ្ចឹងនេះគឺជាករណីជាក់ស្ដែងមានករណី US stream មានករណីច្រើនទៀត6 7ករណីទៀតដែលគេប្រើប្រាស់ precedent jurisprudence case law សេចក្តីសម្រេចដែលកើតឡើងពីអតីតកាលភាគច្រើនគឺនៅក្នុង common law ហ្នឹងគឺជាអ្វីដែលខ្ញុំចង់ share. Okay, got a point guys before we move on to the last slide. នេះសំខាន់ណាពាក្យនេះយុទ្ធសាស្ត្រមិនមែនយុទ្ធសាស្ត្រ strategy ណាយុទ្ធសាស្ត្រយុទ្ធប្រែមកតែច្បាប់យុទ្ធសាស្ត្រគឺការដោះស្រាយច្បាប់អូខេឲ្យផ្អែកទៅលើសេចក្តីសម្រេចចាស់ Okay guys, got a point? Can I move on? Understand now, right? Okay. Are you okay? Just kidding. All right. Okay,ខ្ញុំទៅមុខទៀតណា Okay, good. Okay, good. Are you okay? ខ្ញុំមើលបទហ្នឹងចេះសើច You big lover, big liver ថ្លើមធំអង់គ្លេសថា big liver អីចេះរនឹកឃើញលបងឡង Okay. Okay. WTO in crisis right now. Okay, as I said, there are many crises that are right now looming in the WTO, and that is why many countries decided to sign multilateral ITA, because they don't want to live under the WTO anymore. It is right now, engulfed by so many crises. Okay, first is the appellate body blockage. As I said, we got only one judge right now, no more 7 judges in the quorum. Okay, second. DG selection has been stuck after the old DG resigned due to his inability to solve the COVID-19 crisis straight. Okay, so right now the DG selection issue has been solved because the new DG has been elected in 2021 here, mid 2021 here, which is the Nigerian female minister. Okay, she was the former trade minister of Nigeria, and then right now she became the DG of the WTO. Okay. Also, in 2020, the U.S. under Mr. Donald Trump administration threatened to withdraw from the WTO due to the reason. I don't want to talk much about this, but just know that the U.S. used to threaten to withdraw from the WTO based on Article 15 of Madagascar Agreement, creating the WTO in 1995. Negotiation stalls in the Doha round. As I said, there are many rounds. The first round, Kennedy round, Kyoto round, Seattle round, okay, and the Doha round since 2001 up until now, it has been more than 20 years so far, but the round is still stuck because new issue, for example, environment, e-commerce are in a round, agriculture are also discussed in a round, negotiated in a round. So the issue are very sensitive. Labor, environment, agriculture are very sensitive. That is why they cannot find any resolution, any agreement on those kind of stuff so far. That is why it is stalled since 2001 up until now. Okay. Regulatory challenges, meaning that there are many challenges regarding the efficiencies of the regulation there. A lot of law, a lot of provision, a lot of agreement of the WTO lack definitive understanding. For example, some keywords have no clear definition. So diffuse away right from 2 or 3 words in some agreement. So we need more framework, more protocol, more side agreement in order to supplement the definitions of some word in order to reduce the space of conflict, the possibility of dispute between party and party regarding the interpretations of some keyword. Rise of unilateral protectionism. For example, the populism in the West, Mr. Donald Trump, he came to power on the back of the support by the American people who believe that the U.S. Donald Trump will come back or will come to power to topple down, to reduce the power of China. So U.S. decided to use populism he gained from the people to complete his promise by going against China, using the trade war, which is again international trade law. Okay, so the unilateral protectionism by the U.S. and also the U.K. pose a threat to the functionings of the WTO so far. Okay, what else? The switch to RTA. As I said, RTA means FTA. Right now, many members decided to go to FTA, to go to RTA, rather than using the WTO platform. Okay, so this kind of switch from the WTO to many FTA, bilateral and multilateral, will reuse the power, will reuse the business, will reuse the functionality or the function or operationality of the WTO. Everybody will right now, okay, I will do trade with South Korea under FTA between Cambodia and South Korea. I will do trade with China under the FTA between Cambodia and China. So everybody refer the trade activity to the agreement they have signed. So nobody talk about most favored nation principle, national treatment principle, provide equal treatment to all members of the WTO, provided under the WTO. No, states seems to divert their attention to the multilateral and multilateral and bilateral FTA instead right now. Okay, lack of concerted hand in crisis. For example, in 2008, we got a food crisis, but no member were willing to help each other. Also, during COVID-19 2020 here, member decided to close the border, to remove or to restrict trade, to limit export, to restrict export, even though it is again international law, but they must do, they want to save their life. So there are no concerted effort on international level at the WTO, because states only care about their own welfare during the hard time, during the crisis, 2008 world food crisis and 2020 COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, what else? Mr. Azevedo, the former DG, not now, the former DG of the WTO, said that we have achieved a lot, but more remain to be done. Okay, so again, he is the package, or he is the brief, okay, illustration of some crises that are right now stalled, that are right now taking place at WTO. Okay, move on. You can, if you don't believe my statement I mentioned a moment ago, you can see the example right here. On September 10, 2020, we got a new saying that Trump threatened the plan WTO achieved with the U.S. withdrawal. Okay, the WTO appellate body in crisis implication for trade rule and multilateralism. So here are a lot of new. Okay, there are a lot of pieces of new that talk about the headline of the WTO. Okay, the issues of the WTO. Okay, there are many, and if you study right now and then you can, and then when you go to read the news, you will understand why this happened in this way, not as dumb as like before. Okay, these are also more pieces of news. For example, Director General of the WTO announced the surprise resignation. Okay, that is the news about the resignation of the former DG Azevedo during the COVID-19, because he found that he could not solve the COVID-19 resulted crisis in trade. Okay. He decided to admit that he could not deal with that, so he decided to resign. What else? Trade war and WTO. As I said, trade war is the retaliatory practice, unilateral practice between U.S. and China without consulting the WTO rule. Okay, so with the trade war at the other side and the WTO at the other side, there's a question whether the WTO has failed or not right now. Okay, because it does not, it cannot regulate the behavior between U.S. and China during the trade war. Okay, so I think that is all. Very detailed today. A lot. I say a lot. So I think you also gain a lot as well. And at the same time, if you have any question, you can ask now or you can ask next time, because again, next time we're gonna have one session for the dispute settlement body, one session for trade for tariff, one session for non-tariff. We're gonna have from this week on, if you have no holiday, right? Okay. Any question, guys, before we join our class right now? I'm so tired anyway. Okay. So if no, yeah, I will drop the slide for you right now. Don't worry. Okay, before I turn on my computer. Okay. So again, I would like to thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. Even though I'm not health, not not yet completely healthy as normal, but I will try my best to convey detailed and loud lesson, okay, to you in order to ensure that you understand, okay, not just move and then get answering, okay. So don't forget to take note from now on. I think you already have taken notes so far, but I believe that from now on onward you must take note more, because again, what I teach here appear in examination into my ministry and also to my foreign affairs ministry and Ministry of Economy and Finance, or into the other Royal School of Administration, because I work with them. I know what they are doing. Okay. Have a nice day and see you next week. Okay. Enjoy the dinner with your family and loved one. Bye bye, guys.
Thank you, teacher. Goodbye.
Bye bye.